It's 8 o'clock on Today. Coming up, chaos and destruction. Devastating rocket attacks on major Ukrainian cities overnight. Ukraine's president accusing Russia of trying to wipe his country off the face of the earth after a key Russian bridge was damaged in what Putin is now calling a terrorist attack by Ukrainian forces. We're live with the very latest. Then there's an app for that on this World Mental Health Day. A look at one innovative approach that reaches at-risk teen patients where they are most comfortable.
It's just incredible to know that I can do it anywhere at any time.
The details straight ahead. Plus, heroes behind the wheel. An inside look at a pair of school bus drivers who saved a toddler kidnapped during a carjacking. How their quick thinking led him back to his parents.
How relieved were you to bring the baby back to his parents?
I was crying all day. It was very emotional. I was very relieved.
That remarkable story just ahead. And George and Julia, we're catching up with Clooney and Roberts ahead of their new film. Best part about working with Julia Roberts on this movie? Go.
The money.
What the stars are saying about their families, their decades-long friendship, and filming their first ever rom-com together. Do y'all laugh when you're kissing? Is it funny?
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is like kissing your best friend. And
Well, thanks for that.
And then...
I was a two-time sexiest man alive.
Today, Monday, October 10th, 2022.
Here for Ella's golden birthday, San Diego. From Des Moines, Iowa. Kent, Washington. Wetumpka, Alabama. And Houston, Texas.
Drove almost 1,000 miles on a mother-daughter road trip.
From Sunbury, Wisconsin to the plaza. On a girls' trip to New York. Been watching the Today Show for 44 years. And we finally made it for Paula's birthday.
Celebrating our 47th anniversary.
Oh, I love it. That's love right there. The stairs in stadiums and arenas can be pretty steep sometimes, so watch how this young man comes to the rescue when he overhears a woman say that she's just afraid to climb down the stairs. He gets up from his seat, he goes over to the woman, and he tells her, "Keep looking at me. Don't look down, don't look around, keep looking at me." Then he patiently lets her take it, one step at a time, at her own pace. His wife, so proud of her husband that she actually recorded the scene and she shared it to inspire others. Takes 3 minutes, doesn't it?
Really nice.
3 minutes.
A lot of kindness in the world.
Beautiful.
The general election is right around the corner. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about, and you'll instantly get voting rules. See the next big deadline, learn how to take action for your plan, and even help others make their plans. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for November. Visit NBCNews.com/planyourvote today.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months.
Exactly.
Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We were witness to history, and I know we felt so privileged and so touched to be there.
Josh had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that takes a little bit of credit for it?
Yeah, of course.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
But we are back, and it's 8:13 now. We're back with a conversation that Hoda, we've really been looking forward to all morning. And I know it was one you were looking forward to as well. Oscar winners Julia Roberts and George Clooney.
Can you believe them both in the same room? I was kind of freaking out a little bit. The superstars are collaborating once again. This time, it's their first rom-com together. It's called Ticket to Paradise. So these two play a divorced couple who rushed into marriage to try to save their daughter from making the same mistake. Of course, George and Julia are close friends, and let me tell you, they are just as hilarious in real life as they are in this movie. Ticket to Paradise is Julia and George's first romantic comedy together and their sixth collaboration.
You clean up pretty good.
It's a friendship that has spanned 2 decades. When you saw the script, were you like, this is us? Like the two of us are going to do this?
It was at the same time.
It was really simultaneous.
We both got sent the script. We both said, well, if you do it, I'll do it. You learned that to make me look bad.
You don't need my help there.
Best part about working with Julia Roberts on this movie? Go.
The money.
The duo first teamed up in Ocean's 11 back in 2001. But Julia Roberts, whose famous smile lit up the big screen with classic romantic comedies like Pretty Woman, My Best Friend's Wedding, and Notting Hill, hasn't done a rom-com in 20 years.
She's a great friend, and it's really fun to work with people that are truly good friends.
I don't like to say that we're very much alike, but we do have the same, like...
Beard.
How much time do we have here? We're going to get like 3.5 questions out.
Their chemistry radiates both on and off screen. I don't know how y'all didn't crack up through each take. Are y'all ad-libbing some of that, or is it all?
Not much.
Well, no, we had a fair amount of ad-libbing, especially in the drunken scenes.
Oh, yeah.
What was your first impression once you saw it all come together?
I remember you saying to me, though, when we saw it, and you go, you're so mean to me.
I was shocked, actually.
Really?
I had forgotten how... Some of it was kind of searing, and because I've gotten away from it and George hasn't said anything mean to me in a week, I was like...
I could do it now.
We used to be married.
The worst 19 years of my life.
We were only married for 5.
I'm counting the recovery.
I can't sit there.
Well, there are the meanie parts, which are fun to watch, and there's also the kissing part. Is it awkward to kiss your dear, dear friend?
It is when my wife and kids come by to visit. Remember?
That was the first day they came to visit. It's like, Papa, oh, Auntie Juju. It's like, get him out, get him out.
It's really bad. What are you doing, Papa? What is that?
No, they didn't see
No, they were around.
Do y'all laugh when you're kissing? Is it funny?
It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it is like kissing your best friend. And
Well,
then,
thanks for that.
And then...
You know, I was the 2-time sexiest
Then
man
you go,
alive.
wait, my best friend's George Clooney.
Yeah, come
Maybe
on,
I better
man.
tune in a little bit, but then you just can't.
She couldn't.
Stop doing that. Oh my God. Everybody's looking. Pull it off.
Y'all with your drunky monkey dance was a 10 plus.
Come on, I thought that was some good dancing, didn't you? Those were our moves, man.
Was there any ounce of those drinks that were actually real beverages?
No.
No.
I've never done a film with Julia that I was sober. They're like, you're gonna kiss Julia.
Just leave the bottle.
Just leave the bottle.
I loved every second of that one. So, wait, his kids call you Auntie Juju. That's right.
Well, we've been friends a long time.
A long time.
She comes over to the house in Italy with the kids and stuff.
Before settling into family life, Clooney was one of Hollywood's longtime bachelors. He and his wife, Amal Clooney, recently celebrated their 8th anniversary. They tied the knot in a memorable Italian wedding in 2014 and now share twins, Ella and Alexander. Your twins are 5, right?
5, yeah.
Did I read that they are now speaking
Italian, French.
Do you speak all those languages?
No. It's a disaster. And they talk to each other in Italian when I'm talking to them. Like, what? What'd you say? So you know it's a conspiracy.
I think having kids, I mean, I have obviously kids later in life too. I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old. I get scared sometimes if I'm being totally honest about being my age.
You do.
And please, God, like, let me, I want to witness that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Do you ever have those?
No, I kind of like the idea of being sort of out of it when, like, my daughter starts to date. Papa, I want you to meet, he's a drummer in a band. I like toast. I'm okay with it.
The truth is, because we all, no matter how old we are, George being the oldest of us, they have chosen us in this moment to be their stewards and their shepherds in this life experience. I met Danny when I was ready. You met Amal when you were ready. And then we call these children into our lives when we're ready to best partner with them. Sometimes I get gripped with fear of blowing it. And sometimes I've just said to my kids, like, so today, me as a mom, can we just take that off the boards because I blew it.
Well, the hard stuff was always your thing. My thing was taking out the garbage and getting things off of high shelves.
Not that high, really.
Do y'all think you'll be working together in a movie?
It's not going to happen. I've learned my lesson. No.
Meanwhile, he's put me in his contract. He can't live without me on screen. Of course. Yeah, why not?
She's also the best available, really.
Available. You're such a...
I'm such a what? It's a morning show.
Oh, my God.
Morning show. Hello.
Come on.
That was great.
Don't you?
Wait, is the movie better than that interview? Because that was hysterical.
It's all good. By the way, I said, they have great personalities, but the stuff in between their friendship is the best part. And just to show you how funny George is, so I asked if our whole crew could come do a picture together. And so we said, sure. Yeah. Everyone gathered around, and they snapped the picture. I think we have just a picture. Not that one, the other one. Anyway, there's a very serious picture. And then he said, let's do one more. I want everyone to laugh hysterically, okay? It's my favorite kind of picture. And so the second picture that comes up is everyone with their heads thrown back laughing, except George Clooney, who is totally, totally, you get the idea.
I saw the
totally and completely serious.
And he was game for all of it.
But he was like, let me see the picture. Oh my God, y'all did it. He's like a kid in a candy store. Anyway, it was super fun.
Their chemistry is obviously it's undeniable.
Yeah.
I hope they do more things together.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great.
And there's actually more of that interview.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's on Today All Day, coming up in the fourth hour as well, but we're going to stream a bunch of it on Today All Day as well. And you can also find Hoda's extended interview in a special bonus episode of her Making Space podcast. That podcast is out this morning. QR code on your screen right now. That QR code will take you right where you need to be.
And you guys catch the movie. It's a lot of fun. We need a rom-com. Ticket to Paradise is a great one. It's in theaters nationwide October 21st.
She's the best available.
And maybe next year he invites you to Italy with the kids, right? That sounded like fun.
That sounded like a fun gig.
We were witness to history, and I know we felt so privileged and so touched to be there.
Josh had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that takes a little bit of credit for it?
Yeah, of course.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months.
Exactly.
Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. I appreciate
A masked killer takes aim and fires. A fatal attraction that leads investigators to turn towards their own. Internal Affairs, a new podcast from Dateline. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
I love mornings. They're full of possibility. And how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
We need to pull up one extra chair at the table.
We feel like we're right there with you.
Just ahead, in this half hour, we're going to introduce you to...
Because every day we start our morning so you can take on yours.
Welcome back. Today is World Mental Health Day, and one healthcare system is finding a way to address the alarming rise of depression and other mental health issues in young people.
Yeah, NBC's senior national correspondent Kate Snow is here with the details, and a lot of parents need to listen up.
Yeah, this is a good story, Craig. Thank you. Good morning. A
cell phone can be everything, right? It can be your access to social media, to navigation, but a newly published study by the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center shows it can also be a resource to increase access to mental health resources for children, for teenagers, and young people.
What if a teenager's cell phone could be a way to help address and alleviate some of their problems? The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center took that innovative approach to reach at-risk teenage patients where they're already comfortable.
They live on their phones, they're comfortable texting, and especially anxious and depressed kids, they're often not compliant with treatment even when it exists.
UPMC developed RxWell, an app that pediatricians could prescribe to their patients aged 16 to 22, a group experts say is at particular risk.
In 2021, nearly half of all children that we screened for depression between the ages of 11 to 18 scored positive.
The app contains techniques to build skills, teaching relaxation, meditation, and how to tolerate stress. And patients can also connect one-on-one with a mental health coach.
Essentially, they help them set goals, they provide them with feedback, they help them to recognize when their symptoms are worsening.
The app monitors usage and progress. It can also alert a coach if a patient might need more attention.
I just felt alone. I felt like no one understood me. I felt no one understood my past or even where I was coming from at that time.
22-year-old Kaylee Nutter was part of RxWell's first test group. Her grandparents raised her from age 8. Her parents are sober now, but had substance abuse issues.
My mom, she was in a state penitentiary for the early few years of my teenage life, and a lot of roles were put onto me, such as being that mother figure on top of my grandmother, being that mother figure to my sister.
Kaylee started noticing her anxiety when she was juggling the stress of nursing school and her grandpa got sick. Her doctor prescribed the app.
When they said they wanted you to use an app, what did you think of that?
At first, I was a little bit hesitant. So I did not know if it would kind of be like I had to post my feelings onto a page. I did not know how private it would be. But once I realized like, okay, this is totally private, I was definitely reassured. I was able to connect with my coach at any time. And it's like an instant messaging, which was really helpful.
Traditional therapy happens like once, maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
This you could use every day. Did that make a difference?
Of course, it helped me to be able to create an overall positive mindset, to know that instantly I can have my negative thoughts go away, to know that I'm able to have a coach right there whenever I need her.
Kaylee is among the success stories that have inspired an expansion. The group Your Mom Cares raised $500,000 for the first trial in Pittsburgh, with about 500 participants using the app for 6 months. Of the patients who used the app regularly, UPMC says 73% saw a reduction in anxiety and 57% reported less depression. And now they're planning a new expanded trial for patients in Boston and San Diego. Good news for kids who may be struggling. Kaylee says the support helped her find her way. She married her high school sweetheart in December, and after graduating in the spring, landed her dream job, a nurse in a neonatal ICU.
I bring those techniques back into my life now, realizing that things are not going to happen overnight. It is a day-by-day process, and to be able to still use those techniques that the app brought to me, it's just incredible to know that I can do it anywhere at any time.
The doctors and the researchers are really hopeful that this simple app could be an easy way to reach and help young people. Kaylee was able to see a therapist in person too, but we can't emphasize enough that right now, guys, it is often very difficult for many families to find a mental health provider in their area who works with younger people, will take a new patient. So doctors have waiting lists. The ability to have a coach at your beck and call on the phone, on the app, is really a game changer.
I've used similar apps to this before. What I love about this idea is that this meets teenagers where they are. You know that better than most.
Oh yeah. We all know it.
Yeah,
we all do. Yeah. All right, Kate. Thank you.
Amazing. These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
The general election is right around the corner. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about, and you'll instantly get voting rules. See the next big deadline, learn how to take action for your plan, and even help others make their plans. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for November. Visit NBCNews.com/planyourvote today.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
The Today Show's newest fan.
Little Al Roker.
What am I doing here?
Back now, 8:44. I got 3 words for you. Jamie Lee Curtis. Hollywood legend, America's first scream queen. Her role as Laurie Strode in the Halloween franchise has been terrifying and delighting fans for 44 years. Jamie Lee's back for one final thrill or kill. Take a look.
Ooh, Mommy. See the same thing in him that I saw in Michael.
Michael Myers is who you are.
You're not listening to me, Allison. I am trying to protect you.
I don't want your protection.
But you can have a good life, Allison. A good life, just not with him.
I can't believe this is the last. Is it really the last, or is it maybe the last?
They've come up with a very good way to end this trilogy. We've made 3 films. I think it completes the story in a sad, interesting way. But I was just listening to your previous segment. I was standing with Kate. And, you know, Laurie Strode at 17 went back to school November 2nd.
Okay.
Like, that happened October 31st, 1978. She
went right back to school.
She went back to school November 2nd, and no one ever talked about it. That's the kind of mental health support she got then. And then the woman in 2018, the woman behind barricades, emotionally, physically, spiritually, is the result of somebody not getting mental health support. So that story you just did was so beautiful, because if Laurie Strode had gotten mental health support, maybe her whole life would have been different. And the new movie takes place 4 years after the last one, and Laurie Strode has had mental health support, grief counseling, trauma therapy, and because of that, there's a moment of hope at the beginning of the movie.
Wow, what an interesting through line. What about in your life when you went through real trauma? Were you just taught to head down, get through it, and let's get it over with? Bury it.
Bury it. People just didn't talk about hard things. It was that old thing, you're fine, move on.
Move on.
And I just love that there are ways now, I mean, these devices that we all have, which are both portals for incredible good like that, and in portals for incredible hatred and bile and vile people.
Well, when you do talk about hatred, this actually is very timely for what's happening right now, because Kanye West tweeted on just recently, and I'll read his...
It was yesterday. Yesterday morning.
He wrote,
I woke up to this.
Yeah, this is what he said, in case people don't know. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. And then he goes on to say, the funny thing is, I can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have... Anyway, he goes on. You saw that tweet, and you responded immediately saying this. Also, on October 9th, the holiest day in Judaism was last week. Words matter. A threat to Jewish people ended once in genocide. Your words hurt and incite violence. You are a father. Please stop.
I burst into tears. I woke up and burst into tears. DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? What are you doing? This is, I mean, it's bad enough that fascism is on the rise around the world, but on Twitter, on a portal, to pour that in, as if Jewish people haven't had it hard enough, as if Asian people, I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a movie about an immigrant Asian family. I mean, if Asian people haven't had enough, I mean, it was just abhorrent. It's abhorrent. And, you know, I'm selling a horror movie. I mean, it's a movie. People love them. Horror lets you confront what you can't control. And people use that as a way to sort of exorcise their own anxiety. I get it. You don't have to go if you don't want to. I don't like them. Never have, never will. But they've given me my life, so of course, enjoy it if you like it. But I am, and our new movie is as much about what happens about victim shaming, about what happens when a community gets poisoned, and the victim is actually the one who the community piles on.
I've interviewed you a number of times.
So many times.
I have never seen your eyes well up in anger like that.
I literally, I woke up and I thought, my grandparents?
Yeah.
It's just abhorrent. It's abhorrent behavior. I hope he gets help. I hope his children get help from him.
Wow.
It's terrible.
Yeah. It's been it's caused a ton of reaction. And
if we aren't reacting, who are we? What does it say about people who aren't reacting? Who woke up and read that and thought, oh, what are you having for breakfast? It's just, it's a big concern. You know, these tools of communication are beautiful and they can connect us, and then they can just wedge us, and people can pour their bile through these portals into our lives. And teenagers.
They're on the receiving end a lot.
Teenagers who are so vulnerable.
I feel like I've also watched your I've watched you over the years, and I've interviewed you over the years, and I also feel at this moment in your life, I feel like you're just getting started is too strong of a statement, but you are on a mission in life. Like you, when I look at you, I'm like, yes, that's what we need. This kind of energy, this kind of drive, this kind of passion.
I'm sucking off of you, babe. That is what you give every day. I don't do this every day.
But do you feel that?
Totally.
What does your life feel like now?
The success of Halloween 2018 gave me a place to stand as a creative person. I am a creative person. And my motto is, if not now, when? If not me, who? And it really kicked in at 60. And now I'm just getting the opportunity to be a maker. I'm a creator. I'm a producer. I'm a director. Everything I've wanted to do since I was little. And by the way, I worked and was a mother, like you. You have a job that allows you to do it. My job was much sort of more varied, which is why for years I did commercials, because it allowed me to basically be the mom I wanted to be. Now my kids are grown. Both are married. Both my daughters are married.
Look at you.
I'm what is a Sadie? A Sadie is a married lady. What is the mother of a Sadie? Whatever. I'm a Bertha. Whatever I am, I'm a Bertha, and now I'm free to create. And I am going to do it until they kick me out.
The best. You guys got to check out, of course. You know, Halloween ends. It opens in theaters
on Friday.
And it'll be streaming exclusively on Peacock also on Friday.
I
love your passion. I love you.
I love you. God bless you. God bless you, everybody.
All right.
Make good choices.
We'll be back. But first, this is Today on NBC.
God bless you.
This morning on the third hour of Today, what's the deal? Holiday shopping starts today. Which stores are rolling out the discounts and how to make sure you're getting the best price. Plus, our Consumer Confidential, could you have hundreds of dollars just sitting in a drawer? We're going to get creative with all those unused gift cards. And then later, Mark Wahlberg live. He's going to take us behind the scenes of his life as a father and booming businessman. And from locks to cameras and more, some bright ideas to make your house a smart home. That's all ahead today, Monday, October 10th, 2022.
Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza, this is the third hour of Today.
And a good Monday morning to you. Welcome to this third hour of Today. Craig Melvin, Dylan Dreyer, Chanel Jones, as you like to say, a cousin of the show.
Cousin Eddie.
Yes. Jacob Soboroff in for Al Roker today. Thank you so much for starting your week off with us. By the way, you guys have a good weekend?
I feel like we had a full
What'd you
weekend.
do?
So I was in full soccer mode this morning or this weekend. My kids had soccer tournaments every year this time, and they took third. Not bad.
That's good.
Yep. So they handed out dum-dums, which is what has right there in his mouth.
Nothing better than a dum-dum.
I mean, who would have thought that they got like, I don't know, $1 million prize?
Yes.
It looked nice and chilly out there, too.
It was cold.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in the middle of the field all weekend
It's good for the soccer players, but not for the parents on the sidelines.
How about you?
I had the opportunity. I was invited to the Morristown Book Festival. Sign a little
In New Jersey?
In New Jersey, Morristown, New Jersey.
Misty the Cloud?
Misty the Cloud. A little bit of promotion there. Read the book, signed some autographs, which was great. And then it was just a kids' weekend. We did just a whole lot of nothing. The boys played video games. Not so much Rusty, but Rusty's pulling himself up on everything now. So you see the little stairs back there. We have it all blocked off. He's wild. He's like free range.
And the pillows underneath there, is that so they can like jump
so he
off?
can't crawl under.
So,
Mr. Melvin, what'd you do?
You first.
All right, I'll go first. My wife is here. Nicole is here. Usually I'm so lonely, hanging out by myself in New York. We took the subway. Nicole was on the subway with me. There she is.
Very artistic picture of your wife.
Amazing.
Did you take that picture?
That was candid, Chanel. What are you talking about? We had a good time. And what else did I do? Put the other picture up. I forgot what I did this weekend. My best friend's 40th birthday. Thank you. There's Barnett Arthur Zitron, my college roommate.
Did you just give us his whole name?
Yes.
Okay.
He's a wonderful man. There's also my father-in-law's 70th. Happy birthday, JoJo.
Happy birthday.
You had a full weekend.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend.
JoJo?
Yeah, can you tell I can't exactly remember what I did this weekend? It was a good one.
So it sounds like it was a good time.
It was great.
We hung out with some dear friends in upstate New York at their place. And our kids, I think we've got a picture of the view of the place. So this was our view for the weekend.
Nice.
And our
People
kids,
you should be friends with.
our kids are the same age, so we had the perfect mix of hanging with the kids and hanging with our friends.
It's always great when the kids can get along because then you can truly just have
enjoy.
It was
like they're
fantastic
babysitting themselves.
Well, hopefully you had a good weekend.
Yeah, there's a good chance you spent at least part of your weekend watching football, and we've been closely following this particular storyline, the NFL's changes to its concussion protocols. We saw the tougher new rules in action already. Yesterday, Miami Dolphins backup quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, he was hit in the opening moments. That's the hit there. Bridgewater not allowed to come back because any sign of impaired balance or coordination now automatically rules a player out of the game. And the league made those changes, of course, after the Dolphins starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, he was knocked out of consecutive games, including one where he had a hard time standing up.
Oh, my goodness.
He was later cleared to play after that first hit, and then he came back in the second hit. We haven't seen him since. But yeah, the NFL's taking it seriously.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm glad we're talking about it still today because sometimes we have the conversation like we did last week and the week before, and then we don't talk about it again.
You're right.
And here we are still talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's good news. How about this? From football to fast food. And who is actually the fastest? The 2022 QSR drive-through report is out. I know you're waiting for this. Everybody's waiting for this.
The QSR, of course, the QSR drive-through report. Yes,
Chanel, every year she sits by the computer. It ranks how the top chains how quickly they move people through the line. Coming in first, any guesses? It says it in the teleprompter.
Dang it.
This is kind of a surprise to me.
Why?
The
Takes like 5
fastest.
seconds to make a taco.
Really?
I don't. That just
roll
I
it
don't
up.
know. But you
The
say
beans on
that.
it and roll it up.
but
Average service time.
Oftentimes at Taco Bell, you
Yes.
got like a lot of different orders. You got a burrito, you got a
Yeah,
taco,
but they're
you
all
got
like
a Mexican
pre-wrapped
pizza.
packaged.
They know
ready
what they're
to go.
doing
They
there.
just grab 'em off the line.
222 seconds, 3.7 minutes is the average order time.
That's
Last
fun.
place, Chick-fil-A.
And it's
Which
worth
I'm
the wait.
surprised.
Worth the wait.
325 seconds, 5.4 minutes. But it's misleading because it's so
Yeah, they're
busy
so
at Chick-fil-A
busy.
all the
You're
time.
waiting online. Right.
I've
See,
waited
we-
very long.
Right.
How about In-N-Out? I feel like it's way longer
Well,
than that.
In-N-Out,
But
we're
it's
in the
worth
East
the
Coast.
service
Okay, sorry.
because it's the
West Coast,
it's the least stressful, I'd say, drive-through experience at In-N-Out.
You know what my
They're
dad used
very
to say?
friendly.
He'd say, because he would read the lips, they always ask you when you pull up, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, really?
Yep. And he'd say,
very
they're going to ask you,
nice.
hey, how you doing? I'd say, Dad, how did you know that? He said, 'Cause they just
So
said
when
it."
they ask you, do you give or you just say you're fine?
I say, no, I'm great, doing great. How are you doing?
You're like, actually.
That's why it's so
I'm
slow.
waiting for somebody to ask me.
Can you imagine that in New York?
Pick it up. Pick it up.
Let's stick with the food theme here because there's this huge debate online over the proper way to cut a sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
So it began with an Instagram recipe for grilled cheese and tomato soup, right? Sounds harmless enough.
wow,
It's
you
from the
guys-
popular
great.
food blog Smitten
Mike.
Kitchen.
Okay.
The video inspired an article from the Washington Post titled, "Sandwiches Must Be Cut Diagonally and I'm Not Taking Questions." So this begs the question,
Nope.
how do you cut your
All right,
sandwich?
Right down
what's-
the
what is
middle.
your E?
What is your go-to?
Right down the middle. I'm the only one.
Oh, well, that's what this whole debate is about.
But am I right or am I wrong?
Clearly you're wrong.
I'd say you're right for a turkey and cheese sandwich. For a grilled cheese, it always
this
needs
way.
to be cut on the
Wait,
diagonal.
Well, I'd like to apologize to America. And you guys do you.
I think the best way to cut a grilled cheese sandwich is also with the spatula. You know, the one you flip it with, you just use that.
If you're using a
this is
hard spatula, but not one of those plastic spatulas.
No, it's good
It's a
when
struggle,
like
but you can still do it.
buttery and greasy.
Katie, great job on the grilled cheese.
What kind of cheese?
It's our favorite
Kraft American?
sliced cheddar cheese.
Yeah, Katie doesn't make anything
No,
gross.
you know what makes this stand out? The
Jesus is
sprinkle of salt you put on
So
the
good.
outside of the sandwich.
All right, moving on.
Well done.
Well done, Katie. Well
Thank
done.
you, Katie. All right, so now let's talk about the unofficial
Jeez.
start to the holiday shopping season. It's here. I'm telling you, we're weeks away from Black Friday, but already there are deals to be had. So let's bring in our friend NBC's Emily Ikeda. She's here to break down some shopping strategies.
like half my
I know. I was
sandwich?
like,
smells really
We have a lot of halves.
all righty. I can't believe that we're talking about it already, but I mean, it's time.
Yeah, it's Columbus Day, but it feels a whole lot like Black Friday.
Yeah.
There are
Yes.
still 76 days until Christmas, but the holiday deals are well underway. Major retailers are looking to serve up savings on popular holiday gifts, even before some people, myself included, have picked out their Halloween costumes. This morning, it's beginning to look a lot like Black Friday as major retailers look to kickstart the seasonal savings weeks before Halloween. Starting today, Walmart is rolling out rollback discounts on popular gift categories like beauty and electronics for the next 3 days. And Target is launching week-long Black Friday deals 3 weeks earlier than last year, cutting prices on appliances and toys, and even offering 50% off on select home items.
There are a lot of deals out there. Basically, Black Friday season has already started in full force.
And this is just the beginning. Amazon will kick off its Prime Early Access sale tomorrow. Expect the deepest discounts on Amazon products like Echoes, Kindles, and Fire TVs, but you'll also find steals on brands including Sony and Dell. And while Kohl's is dishing out 2 days of deals on the 11th and 12th, Bed Bath & Beyond's fall savings event features markdowns of up to 50%.
Everyone's looking for a deal right now.
The October savings have frugal holiday shoppers starting to check off their gift lists earlier than ever.
Here we are in the beginning of October, and I would say I'm 75-80% done my holiday shopping.
So what's pushing the so-called Christmas creep? Insiders say retailers are trying to clear out excess inventory and win over cautious consumers who are spreading out their shopping as inflation strains their wallets.
Retailers know that consumers are really stressed financially this year. There is some demand for shopping early because it does make it easier on your budget if you can be disciplined and spread out your purchases without overspending.
To ease the headache, experts say turn to technology. Websites like slickdeals.net source and compare prices online at multiple locations, with users voting on the best deals. While apps like Shop Savvy allow you to scan barcodes in person to find the lowest price, and Camel will track an item's price history on Amazon so you know if the sale price is truly a good buy. But with so many discounts coming in the countdown to Christmas, a key secret to saving is price matching. Target, Walmart, and Best Buy all say they will match prices on select items, but their policies vary. If Target, for instance, drops the cost of something you already purchased there, you can request a price match through Christmas Eve. So there may be no time like the present to get those gifts.
So are there things you should wait to buy right now? Experts say the price of winter clothes are expected to drop after the holidays. Toys could drop closer to Christmas, but keep in mind, popular items may sell out. Another thing to keep in mind, when you think about this extended shopping season, I'm really speaking to myself here, it really gives the temptation that you overspend. Yeah. So make your list and stick to it.
I kind of like sticking to the list, buying something here and there, so it's like your credit card bills are spread out.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. Yeah. But that requires planning.
Yes,
True. Emily, as always, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, coming up next, we are talking about, Craig, your favorite holiday gift.
It's true. It's the best. It's the best holiday gift.
If you have a stack of them at home, Vicki Wynn is here this morning. She's going to share some creative ways to use them. And here's the thing, you may be able to cash them out if they haven't expired, yes. And then later, in Motivational Monday, a groundbreaking brewery where everyone can tell a story. Every can tells a story is what I'm trying to say. Oh. Yeah, the can has a story.
They give you the scripts.
We'll be right back.
You have the scripts in front of you. They give us these pieces of paper.
We were witness to history, and I know we felt so privileged and so touched to be there.
Josh had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that takes a little bit of credit for it?
Yeah, of course.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Today Show's newest fan.
Little Al Roker.
What am I doing here?
We are back with a Consumer Confidential. We talked about the fact that the holidays are fast approaching, and there's a good chance you may still have unused gift cards from last year.
And the year before that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So according to a recent online survey, about 47% of adults say they have at least one unused gift card or store credit. It adds up to an estimated $21 billion in unspent money. So we have senior investigative consumer correspondent Vicki Wynn here with some ways to put those to good use. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chanel.
I had no idea it was that much, $21 billion. So before we try to get into options of redeeming them, what should people know when you dig out those cards?
It's bonkers, Chanel. According to that same online poll by creditcards.com, that means each person who responded has an average of $175 in unused gift cards.
Yeah.
And can I just say for a moment, when did cash become tacky?
No, you're
cash is great. You can give a check cash. You can spend it anywhere.
You go to the Craig Melvin.
I have to take this up with Craig in a minute because I know he loves the gift card. But okay, so people have got these. They're lying around. We're talking about two kinds of gift cards, really. The kind that are for a specific retailer, big box store. There's also those Visa and MasterCards that you can spend anywhere, but those can be a little trickier to use. So what do? in terms of expiration, pay attention. Federal law says they can't expire for 5 years. Some states, like California, for example, a gift card can never expire. But if you haven't used it for a year, in some states, they can start charging you an inactivity fee. So if you haven't put money on it or you haven't used it, then like money is just coming off of that little piece of plastic. So my advice here is get those gift cards, use them right away, because guess what? Even if they don't expire, sometimes the business goes out of business.
That happened to me.
Exactly. I had $200 on something called the yes.com. Pinterest bought it. Boom. That money is gone.
Okay.
So don't let that happen to you.
That's good advice. All right, Jill, your turn.
In honor of this segment, I sifted through my wallet and found a gift card and bought myself a pair of shoes this morning.
That's the ticket.
If people are rifling through their desk and trying to find those little cards, what can you do with them if you don't just want to like use them as they're intended?
You're going to grab a Sharpie, you're going to set aside 15 minutes, and you're going to clear out every single gift card, every nook and cranny. You're going to sit down with your computer or your phone and call and figure out what is the balance on each gift card. Write it down with a Sharpie, and then you're going to make a plan. How are you going to use it? If you're going to go online, sometimes it's hard to pay with multiple different gift cards, so you may have to call the 800 number of the retailer and say, hey, I'd like to use multiple gift cards to pay for this, to get rid of that balance. Something else people might not know, you can actually consolidate the gift card. So let's say you've got a few bucks on a bunch of different things. Buy a gift card with those gift cards to a place like Amazon or Target, where you know you're going to shop, and then you have everything all in one place. And then this is the other thing people don't know. Sometimes in states like California or Oregon, if it's under $5, under $10 left on that gift card, you can actually say to the cashier, can I just get the rest in cash, please? Can I just get the rest, in real money that I can use?
It seems like a lot of work, but it's cash at the end
It's
of the
your
day.
money, and you want to use it because inflation is decreasing your buying power.
Are we also not going to address the fact that Dylan just admitted she was shopping while she was supposed to be forecasting?
Does this at work? This was on her own time, Craig.
I forecast and after I read all my notes.
There you go.
Let's talk about getting a gift card to a place you don't really shop. Then what do you do?
When did you become such a tattletale, Craig? Okay. So the first thing to do, Craig, let's say you get a gift card somewhere that you're never going to use. You either use that gift card to buy something for the person or you regift it. The thing is, if you buy something, just know that if they don't like it, they're going to return it and it'll come back on a gift card for them. It's like a never-ending cycle, Craig. Something you might not know about. You can actually donate gift cards. There are websites that will let you do that, or you can go directly to the Salvation Army or Goodwill and donate that gift card.
That's a great idea.
Yes, it is. If you go through a website, though, just know sometimes those websites charge a processing fee, so it's not going to go all of it. All of the money is not going to that charity. This is something I think is a great idea. Let's say you have a $50 gift card to a store you're never going to use. You go online, you resell it, but you'll only get somewhere between 70 and 90% of the gift card value, but you get it in cash that can be spent anywhere. So a $50 gift card, you may only get $40 for it.
Where do you resell it? Online?
There are various different websites, so you want to just Google and look for one that is reputable.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys always ask me why I don't move to New York, because the gift cards don't expire in California.
That's it.
I'll never move here.
You're never coming.
As we head into the holidays, what do you need to remember about giving and getting gift cards?
Okay, I have one word for you, Jacob.
Yes.
But I'm going to say it 3 times.
Okay.
Scams, scams, scams.
A lot of scams.
Gift cards are so attractive to scammers because they're an easy way to drain you of your hard-earned cash. And a lot of times people are hanging on to a gift card, they don't use it. 6 months later, they realize, wait, this has nothing left on it.
So people are stealing them, or what's happening?
People are stealing them, or they're sending you something that looks like it's a gift card for you to click on and then ends up being a phishing scheme for your personal information. So you have to be very careful when you get a gift card. It is a good idea to register it. It's a way to keep track of your balance. Just make sure that you are using a very strong password to get into it. And then if you are buying a gift card, on the flip side, always look at the back of that gift card and see if this PIN number has been scratched or damaged in any way. That is another way that scammers wait for you to load it. They have your PIN and then they drain that gift card.
So good to know.
And if you're giving a gift card, always tell the recipient, hey, Craig, a gift card is heading to you. It's going to be sent to you in a link so it doesn't end up in your spam folder and so you know it's legitimate.
That's a great idea, too.
Yeah, true.
Moral of the story, move to California, everybody.
Or just give cash, guys. Cash is king.
Cash is king. That's true.
Great tips.
Awesome.
Great job. All right, coming up, it's Motivational Monday. We are going to meet a trailblazing beer maker whose unique flavors are a window into her culture. Then later, Mark Wahlberg joins us live with a glimpse into his hectic life as a father, actor, and a successful entrepreneur. He's doing it all. We'll be right back.
The general election is right around the corner. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about, and you'll instantly get voting rules, See the next big deadline, learn how to take action for your plan, and even help others make their plans. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for November. Visit NBCnews.com/planyourvote today.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back, guys. It is Motivational Monday. Today, we are also celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day.
So in the heart of the Southwest, there's a brewery that is bringing a diverse perspective to the craft beer industry by offering a taste of Native American culture and history.
We genuinely have this love and appreciation for the land and the special place we live in. And it seems that an authentic approach has really resonated with people.
For 6 years, Shyla Shepard and her wife, Missy Bigay, have been sharing stories of their native people. And they're doing it through beer. Shyla and Missy are the co-founders of Bow and Arrow Brewing Company in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the first Native American woman-owned brewery in the U.S.
I know you're in the Southwest now, but that's not where you grew up, right?
I grew up on the prairies of the Fort Berthold Reservation in western North Dakota, where I'm a member of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Growing up, I've got wonderful memories of being with my grandma. She's planting, rows of corn, and eventually they'd find their way into her famous corn balls. So, I had the joy of watching her and really educating me on our agricultural history.
Today, that respect for land and agriculture is at the very heart of Bow and Arrow.
How is this all part of the way you tell the Native American story?
I see incorporating indigenous ingredients as a way of sort of reclaiming some of our agricultural histories that has sometimes been lost.
The brewery is preserving that history by sourcing the beer's indigenous ingredients from local tribal-owned businesses.
Got blue corn from Santa Ana Pueblo. They have a mill, so they're roasting the corn for us. And we've used 3-leaf sumac from Navajo Agricultural Products Industries. And this creates markets for their products. It sustains jobs where they're desperately needed and recirculates the dollars in our communities. And that matters to us.
The couple is also using their platform to give back to their community by launching their Native Land campaign just last year.
We are brewing on the ancestral lands of the Tiwo people.
An international craft beer collaboration for other breweries in the industry to recognize the ancestral land they brew on.
We developed the recipe and label. The objective is to not only acknowledge the history of Native people on the land we live and brew on, but to generate resources to support advancing ecological stewardship, access to ancestral lands, and proceeds of the beer sales have been donated to Native organizations doing this work. We had 47 breweries that have released their beers. Total contributions to date are at just over $80,000.
Even the White House has taken notice of the brewery's impact.
And you're not just doing this in your little corner of the world here. You were invited to Vice President Kamala Harris's Pride reception.
I don't know how they learned about us or our story, but yeah, it's very humbling.
The second gentleman actually paid you a visit at the brewery, right? Were you expecting that?
No, that was totally unexpected. And I was so thankful that I wasn't running errands, but it was a pretty cool experience for us and for the team that was here.
For Shyla and Missy, their hope is to keep making a difference for the future of Native Americans, while also still honoring the contributions of their people.
Today, we remember and acknowledge not only the history and sacrifice of our ancestors, but also celebrate our people's resilience and resolve, and the fact that we are still here.
So we have some samples here. I gave you the hard cider. Chanel, I know you don't love beer.
Yeah.
But the artwork on the cans are just reminiscent of their culture, and they're delicious, aren't they?
This blue denim, or excuse me, the denim tux. It's got a little blue corn in it.
Blue corn, that's
this
the
is
special,
fantastic.
the ingredient.
May I recommend Scenic West Hazy IPA?
Yes, and
Delish.
the ingredients that they use make it authentic too. Bow and Arrow, they've actually been included on some of the best brewery lists in the country. And year 2 of the Native Land campaign will launch next month during Native American Heritage Month with a new label and a recipe. It's actually going to be a Mexican-style lager with heirloom corn.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
How cool.
Cheers.
Nice story.
Heritage.
When we
Congrats.
come back on a Monday morning, we go from beer to Mark Wahlberg, folks. There he is.
Good morning.
Mark Wahlberg alive. He is back with his show, Wall Street. He's all smiles this morning. Wall Street is where we get a glimpse into what it's like to be a full-fledged business mogul. He's already worked out 3 times this morning. And from that to cameras, to pets, to more, we've got some products to turn your house into a smart home. Third hour of today, right back after this.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
You get one beautiful life to live. Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold. We have this circle of women that love each other. This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric. Love ya. I love you too.
A masked killer takes aim and fires. A fatal attraction that leads investigators to turn towards their own. Internal Affairs, a new podcast from Dateline. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
This morning, we are catching up with a man who's been entertaining us for more than 3 decades.
Mark Wahlberg took on the Boston Mob in The Departed. He played pro boxer Mickey Ward in The Fighter, earning Oscar nominations for both roles.
Mark is also a successful businessman. He documents his experience in the 2nd season of his show, Wall Street.
And he also gives a glimpse into what it takes to get in shape for the big screen.
I had 3 weeks to be in good boxing shape before the stew. And then the day we shoot, day 1, which was the fighting, we started all the weight gain. So going from a clean diet to tripled or quadrupled, 7,000 calories a day for the first 2 weeks. And then the final 4 weeks, 11,000 calories.
Back to doing what I know how to do. All this other shit got me rattled.
This is all kind of happening, just before 50. It's a roller coaster.
Wow.
That's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg joining us live this morning from his home in Las Vegas. Mr. Wahlberg, it's always good to have you, sir. And to say that you are a busy Renaissance man would be quite the understatement, because on top of being a full-time dad and husband, you're an actor. You got about 8 businesses. That's not an exaggeration. I know you've already worked out once this morning, but what does a typical day look like for Mark Wahlberg?
It depends on what I'm shooting, but right now I'm preparing for a role. So I woke up this morning at 3, had a little prayer time, got into the gym, read my script out loud here about 4 or 5 times. I have to speak a couple of different languages in this new film.
Wow.
So trying to learn that is very difficult. And then I'm just kind of waiting to wake up the kids, get them off to school, and just kind of start my day. Call all my partners and find out where we're at. And yeah.
Getting the kids to school, number one. So we'll make this quick, Mr. Wahlberg. You got new business opportunities presented to you weekly. I should say, in full disclosure, I'm a patron of one of them. Your F45 workout business. I absolutely love it. There's me.
Wait,
nobody wants
to
see me working out, but we have a great time. What do you? I mean, with that one in particular, or all right, take these pictures down. What makes you say yes to these businesses, Mark?
First of all, a great product, and I want something that's a direct extension of who I am. I do passive investments as far as the stock market and stuff, but I like to invest in things that I can be a great strategic partner in. F45 just so happens to be the greatest workout on the planet. You get results. If you've never been in the gym or you're an elite athlete, you can still get the best workout you've ever had. And there's a sense of community and support that I've never seen in any gym. So finding something great that really is sustainable.
And Mark, you listed all the things that you do since 3 o'clock this morning before the kids are even out of bed. But you also addressed the fact that you just turned 50 years old. So, how do you keep up with it, and how are things on this side of 50 now for you?
It's been a wake-up call. I think it's just realizing that you need to listen to your body. I was very hard-headed for a long time. I always had this kind of old-school bodybuilder mentality, ate too much. Now that I started intermittent fasting and lifting less heavy weights and just worrying about functional movement and longevity. So breathing exercises and just really being mindful of the fact that I'm not a kid anymore. And, using stunt doubles, things of that nature. Just, understanding what your capabilities are.
Absolutely. So, Mark, on another note, you recently lost your mom, Alma, who I had the opportunity to interview. It was back in 2018. I do this series. It's called Through Mom's Eyes, where I interview moms of people that I admire. And so our viewers are looking at video now where I'm sitting down with your mom. And I mean this so sincerely, Mark. She changed my life. We were supposed to be there for like 20, 30 minutes. We were in there for hours. We went from the living room to the kitchen, her journals. For me, she was the true meaning of the word matriarch. And I have 3 kids of my own. And I walked away forever changed by her. And she always talked about how, you would call her every day and she would say, call your mother. I can't do her accent. But
that was pretty good. That was better than most of the people. That was better than most of the people in The Departed.
That's funny. That's funny. So what is the biggest lesson that you learned from her that you try to instill in your own kids?
Gosh, well, with my kids now, I work so hard to give my kids all the things that we didn't have. But the most important thing is love, being an example. My mom was the true definition of hard work, what her and my dad did just to provide for us 9 kids. She was truly an inspiration, and she touched everybody that she met. So being able to show her off to the world when we did even Wahlbergers was such a great thing for her because she worked so hard, and to give her the recognition that she deserved. She touched so many people. You caught me off guard there by pulling out that one, and I'm going to go watch that interview, just so I can see her face. All I have now is the recordings and the voicemails that she left me, and I listen to them quite often. And so everybody that I tell, I know it's it's a bit much, but everybody that I tell that I know that has parents that are still alive, I have to remind them to call them every day, tell them how much you love them, and be there and connect with them as much as possible.
Well, listen, she was a light. I literally, my colleagues know it's not like I'm a journaler. After I met Alma, I went home and I journaled.
Wow.
I was just so moved by her, so God bless her.
Yeah, she was writing now. She was journaling and writing a book and kind of documenting her whole experience. The stories that she had would make any movie that I was a part of seem light compared to the stuff that she had endured.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, guys. Motivational Monday. I love it. Get everybody motivated and inspired to be better.
Amen.
Appreciate you, Mark.
Mark Wahlberg,
Thank you, guys.
Season 2 of Wall Street, out now on HBO Max.
Man, that was great to catch up with him. Coming up next, guys, Home Sweet Smart Home. From your front door to your lights, some high-tech products to transform your house. We'll be right back on the 3rd hour of Today.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
The general election is right around the corner. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about, and you'll instantly get voting rules. See the next big deadline, learn how to take action for your plan, and even help others make their plans. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for November. Visit NBCnews.com/planyourvote today.
top story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back with smarter ways to make smarter homes, high-tech products to make your lives a little easier. So we have Anne-Marie Conti here. She's deputy editor at Wirecutter here to help. Good morning to you, Anne-Marie.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. We want to squeeze in as much as we can.
Yes.
So let's start with these. These are smart door locks.
Yes. And our Wirecutter experts, they long-term test everything, and they have been testing this, and it's fantastic. So there are 3 things you can do. You can open it with your thumb. You could type in a code, or you can flip it open and you can use a hard key. And if you leave the house and you're like, did I lock the door? Use an app and you can lock the door.
Super.
my God.
No pun intended. What do we got here?
Oh, this is our favorite smart thermostat, and this is fantastic because it comes with an exterior unit that you can use in another room. So if you have a room that's cold or too hot that isn't where your main thermostat is, it will help you adjust the temperature in that room specifically. So it's really fantastic, and you can also adjust it when you are leaving the house. You can set it so it knows when you leave the house, and it can adjust the temperature.
Yes,
all of these pair with apps.
Okay.
Smart home has become a lot more accessible and a lot more affordable, and so all of these are really affordable. It's fantastic.
This next one was actually aimed at being able to keep an eye on your pets, right?
So this is an indoor-outdoor camera. You can really use it for anything, and it's actually pretty inexpensive. It's about $20.
Oh.
So it has magnets at the bottom, so you can put it sideways, upside down,
I like that.
and you can use it to view your pets, to see people coming in, check if somebody's stealing your packages. Really fantastic for a lot of different uses for low price.
Let's talk about these smart light bulbs for a second, because I find this fascinating, because apparently the claim is millions of different color options.
Yes. So if you look at this color wheel here, I can change the color temperature on this.
Without changing the bulb.
Without changing the bulb. So it's great for holiday decorations. If you're doing a spooky Halloween scene and you need it to be green, it can be green. You want to change it to red? It can be pink, white, blue.
Kids' bedroom.
But do you have to have what do you need
So
for this?
it connects to a bunch of different platforms, but you do need a phone or an app to control it.
And it's only $16.
Yeah.
So once you get the bulb, you just have to download the app?
Yes.
That is amazing.
Really quickly, 2 more items. This Wi-Fi outdoor plug.
This is fantastic because you can control the plugs independently or together. And it has an away mode. So if you're going out of town, it will turn the lights on and off randomly. It's set up for outdoor use, and you can...
For security?
Yes, you can use it for your deck lights. You can use it, again, for spooky Halloween decorations, for holiday decorations. It's really fantastic.
I love that.
And how about this Nest product right here?
I love this Nest product. So this is a smart smoke alarm. And with a regular smoke alarm, and you burn toast and the alarm starts blaring, this will actually warn you before it starts blaring. So you have time to go to the app and say, false alarm, no fire.
I'm just a bad cook.
Yes. And if you're not home, it'll let you know if there's a smoke or fire situation in your home, and that gives you even extra added protection when you're thinking about it. It alerts you on your app.
Anne-Marie, thank
These are
you.
good, Anne-Marie. We got them all.
Great
We
to
were
see you.
great. You know, she's Dylan Marie and I'm Chanel Marie.
You know, and I'm Anne-Marie, so we are...
For these products, you can head to today.com/shop.
Yep, exactly. Just ahead, guys, our series Food for Thought. Meet the couple who found their own recipe for success by opening up a very special restaurant right here in New York. It's delicious. Stay with us.
The Maries.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
All right, guys, we're back with our series Food for Thought, and we didn't have to travel far for this one. Nestled in the West Village right here in New York City is an Italian restaurant with an incredible amount of buzz. It's called Via Carota. It's run by 2 James Beard award-winning chefs. They happen to be married, and guys, they welcome me into their kitchen.
Nice.
On any given day, you can find owner and chefs Rita Sodi and Jody Williams in their kitchen at Via Carota Restaurant, preparing a fresh Italian feast for their many customers. It's a love story that began with food and has grown into a 5-restaurant empire, all located in the West Village of Manhattan.
Via Carota is quite literally a love story. It's your love story.
Yeah. Oh my God, we always get so embarrassed. It's like, oh yes.
But it is. We wouldn't be here if the two of you didn't find each other.
Yes, no, that's true. For sure. It's a love story. I mean, it's our relationship and our story, and then just for food and cooking and restaurants in the neighborhood in New York City.
The couple, both restaurateurs, met 15 years ago at Rita's E. Sodi restaurant and found out they shared a passion for all things Italian and cooking, soon falling in love.
We would work so much that we said in jest, maybe we should open a restaurant together, otherwise we would not see each other.
And so Via Carota was born. Now 8 years after opening the restaurant, known for its romantic setting inspired by Rita's Tuscan upbringing and Jody's French cuisine background, it's become a hotspot. Visits from people like the Obamas, Paul McCartney, and other high-profile guests, and its authentic, flavorful dishes have made it hard to snag a reservation.
What do you credit the success of Via Carota to?
When we walk in the restaurant, it's like welcome home, you know. Via Carota is the street where our home was in Italy, in the hill of Florence.
The two of you, Jody and Rita, have become so successful, not just here, but in all of your projects. What is it?
Passion for what we do. It's not just a job, it's what we love to do. Behind all this, there's Rita and Jody, and we deeply love each other, we collaborate, and at the end of the day, we say, well, we always have each other. We feel lucky to be here and have all the guests and the staff we have.
And now folks can get a taste of the restaurant at home with their new cookbook, Via Carota, which tells their story and includes recipes from the restaurant.
People will always ask for this recipe or that recipe, and just sort of as an activity to bring it all together. The writing, the story, the recipes, to share, be able to share Via Carota with other people. And it was a good time to put all our recipe together.
I had a chance to visit their kitchen.
It's so cool. And this is cacio e pepe? Yeah. Oh my God, it smells so good.
And try the food.
Buon appetito, yeah?
Buon appetito, okay.
Buon appetito.
What are your favorite dishes on the menu here that made their way into the cookbook?
If I say the insalata verde is, yeah, I think so.
Oh, the green salad?
The green salad,
really?
Yeah. The green salad we eat every day. The food we eat every day. So we have some charred leeks, so cool.
Oh my gosh. So these are leeks?
Yeah, this one. What else? Branzino.
I love branzino, the white fish, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the pasta, of course, and all the salad.
Oh man, then I'm gonna try to make that. This is unreal.
It's just egg and artichoke.
It's so good.
No, thank you for coming. Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, this is.
You know what Jody and Rita told me? The salad, you're supposed to eat it by hand. I didn't tell you guys while we were doing this. Pick it up with your fingers.
Did you find out the secret to the salad?
The dressing.
The dressing.
Yes,
As Greg
what's
said,
in the
that's
dressing?
all in the dressing. Guys,
I
Via
need to know
Carota, the
more.
cookbook. It's available tomorrow. We'll be right back.
This
We're gonna
is
eat.
phenomenal.
This is delicious. Oh, it is easier eating it with your hands.
I told you.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
the day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Tomorrow on the third hour today, actor Aldous Hodge fills us in on Black Adam.
Coming up on Hoda and Jenna, more of that amazing interview with George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
Folks, hopefully we will see you back here tomorrow. Sobo, you're back tomorrow, right?
I'll be around. I'm always here, guys. Cousin Eddie.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Today, two of Hollywood's biggest movie stars, George Clooney and Julia Roberts, reunited, and we must say, it feels so good. Plus, the inspirational athlete whose family and faith helped him overcome adversity and live out his dream in the NBA. And if you love podcasts, we got some of the best you'll want to download today.
It's Today with Hoda and Jenna. It all starts right now.
Come on. Hey guys, it's Monday, October 10th. Some are enjoying a day off. If you are, we're happy that you're spending a little, how about an hour with us?
Yes, just hang with us for an hour.
Yeah, don't go out. You're about to go outside and run an errand. Don't do it.
No, sit down.
Relax. Just get on the couch.
Make another cup of coffee.
Nice.
Sit down.
We'll put lots of cream and sugar in it.
Can I tell you one reason why you should hang? Because a little later in the show, we're going to have Hoda's interview with George Clooney and Julia Roberts. You can't miss that.
Yeah, they're really amazing, those two. Just watch it for yourself. They are that's like friendship goals. Over so many years in Hollywood, all that stuff. And these two people are like just real pals.
You said one of the best things, that it wasn't like either one of them, it was the space between.
Yeah, they're both sparkly and bubbly, but that wasn't what made it unique and special. Because there are lots of people with effervescent, great personalities, but you only get that. I mean, and they complement each other, and they're like, they're just like they're real friends. They worked together on Ocean's 11, like I can't remember how many years ago.
A long time ago.
Forever ago.
Oh my gosh.
And they actually wrote these roles for them. They were like, we need George Clooney and we need Julia Roberts. And they were like, yeah, we'll do that.
How awesome is that? Well, speaking of friendship, there's a new article, okay? It's in the New York Times. It's titled, How to Make and Keep Friends in Adulthood. What's your situation? Have you made any new friends?
I have. Brant, you're probably my newest real friend. Like, we've made friends with people at school or whatever. But I think I love adult friendships. Like Jen, who's one of my besties.
Yes.
I met her as a grown person after I've been here for 10 years, so I met her here.
Yeah.
And I remembered we were sitting having lunch. And
separately?
We're together. A friend said, you guys should go. She does jewelry. You need to get fixed. So I went to her jewelry shop, and she was like, oh, yeah. Why don't you have this and that? Okay. She needs clothes. Like, that's how they treated me like that. But I like that because I don't care.
Yeah.
But we had lunch, and I won't forget it because I had, at that point, I was listening to music, and I gave her an earbud. This was at lunch. And it was, you're not going to believe, it was Roseanne Cash. The song is 500 Miles.
Yes.
If you miss the train I'm on, then you'll know where I have gone.
maybe they'll find it. It's beautiful. But I looked at her and I go, I'm obsessed right now in this moment. I looked at her and her eyes welled up and I was like, this is her. I knew it. Because if it does that and it moves you, and so from then, I mean, she became one of my closest friends with Karen and Jane and but that was someone who I met
recently.
after lots of life.
Do you know what
had
I
happened.
like so much about you is that you just do the same stuff. Like you're always recommending a song. Yes. You can't help it. You fall in love with songs.
And I also think if they don't like that connection,
or they don't feel,
maybe we don't have. Yeah, not that but everybody's different. But I know that was a thing.
And also, through the pandemic, because you do such a good job. First of all, I feel like you and Karen, your best friend, talk every day or text every day.
Yes.
And it's like you always know when you're getting a text from her because you kind of light up.
Yes.
And I think because of the pandemic, we didn't see friends or talk to friends because everybody was kind of buried. And so they have one tip, which I love. It says, scroll through your text. And see who you were talking to this time last year or this time 2 years ago and reach out.
Because you know what's funny about life patterns? If you do something long enough, it becomes a pattern. So if you're used to being not with your friends and it's been a year or it's been 2 years, it becomes normal. Oh, this is what I do now. So then to go back to it, sometimes you think of reasons like, well, I have to do this.
I'm too busy.
But that's a great tip because I think it does become a pattern.
Yeah, it's so, and I have to say, because I took a trip this summer with all my college besties. They live everywhere.
Yeah.
And we all came together and we felt, and high school besties for that matter, and we felt like 19. We stayed up late talking. That song, Late Night Talking, I sent to my friend Lauren Quirk. I still call her that, even though she's been married Rodriguez for years. And I'm like, this was us on our trip. We just stayed up all night talking.
I remember your 40th birthday, and I knew that you valued your friendships. I knew. I didn't know how many people felt that close to you until then. Every single friend of yours, from when you were little, from when you were in high school, from when you were in college, from when you were a teacher, from when you're here, all of them had this whole thing about I would have assumed any of them could have been your best friend. You make and keep friends.
Friendships are important.
If you miss the train I'm on, then you'll know that I have gone.
Wait, who sings it again?
Roseanne Cash.
Yeah, okay.
I can hear the whistle blow.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking, but before the chat's over, I bet you it plays.
Let's hope.
Okay.
Sometimes you need to lower your expectations, because what if it doesn't play? You might feel disappointed.
You're right.
Okay, speaking of friendships, what about this?
Okay.
There's this new trend where people are buying real estate together, where friends are buying houses and living
a shared home.
A shared home.
So you have this bedroom, we have this bedroom.
Yes.
We'll share the kitchen.
2 or more chip in to buy it together.
I think just from first hearing it, it sounds like trouble.
Problematic.
Yeah. Because family, you're in it forever. A friend, if what if they don't pay their part of the bill?
Yes.
What if they're I don't know.
I kind of think
feel
it's what stage
business.
of life you're in.
Yeah.
Because Barbara and I always have this dream, and I know she's my sister, but she's also a friend, that we're 79 with long hair and gray and braids with cats and books, and we sit on our porch in a sister Yaya house.
Just the two of you.
And we just cheers with a little Chardonnay, and the husbands are long gone.
They're gone.
We don't know how they died, but they're gone. Peacefully.
We don't know how they died.
Gone. Maybe we're 80.
But there is a great feeling
when you want to live with Karen late in life.
Yeah.
Could we do that?
Yeah, we can.
And then your kids come back to visit, and then they leave.
And it's your house.
And you're there on the porch with your book and your sister and a cat.
And it's sunny.
And it's sort of Golden Girls-esque, and you're wearing a sweater vest.
Right.
You sort of dress like Sean. Sean, I love you, but that's what I want to dress like when I'm 79. Or now. Look, Sean, look at him. He looks like Diane Keaton. That's what I want to wear on the porch with my sister. Bad lighting, but great outfit.
Sean is one of our quintessential, most creative people on this staff.
He really is.
And he gets the credit for a lot of stuff that we are saying.
Okay.
So it's actually Sean. All right. So we've got a special, I can't wait for that. All right. Time for a J-Lo movie. It's
Another J-Lo?
Mm-hmm. Shotgun Wedding. It's an action rom-com-y kind of movie. It's got Jennifer Lopez and Josh Duhamel. It looks wild.
Okay, so they play a bride and groom whose destination wedding goes off the rails when their friends and family are taken hostage.
Yeah, take
a look.
Something doesn't feel right.
There are pirates outside. They took everybody hostage. Here's the plan. We'll trap them in the net.
Spray him in the eyes.
Won't work. Why?
Too many steps.
Don't you let go!
Wow, our emotions are all over the place.
I'm not sure what to feel right now.
Is it scary? Is it funny? Is
Violent?
it romantic?
Is it? It looks like all those things.
I mean, the guy was wearing spikes on his head.
I know, and they had Uzis.
And then they started singing, I'll be your crying shoulders. Wow.
Oh, my God.
We're at a loss for words. But I know that
Edwin McCain? Is that his song? I love Edwin McCain.
Your crying shoulders.
My takeaway is I love Edwin McCain.
Do you want to see it, or is it too scary? Oh. Thanks, guys. This reminds me of when you played Bette Midler.
Wait.
500 miles away from home.
Sing it. Sing it.
I don't
Wait.
know it.
Lord, I'm one. Lord, I'm two.
Oh, sweet.
Lord, I'm three. Lord, I'm four. Lord, I'm 500 miles
away from
home.
Come on. Come on.
You know what? They never disappoint.
Never. Y'all
Never
are amazing.
disappoint. It reminds me of the rose. All right, is it okay to leave your hairdresser for another at the same salon?
We're going to weigh in on your social dilemmas after this. Who would do that?
No, you can't do that.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
Good morning. Welcome to today. I love mornings. They're full of possibility. And how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
We need to pull up one extra chair at the table.
We feel like we're right there with you.
Just ahead, in this half hour, we're going to introduce you to...
Because every day we start our morning so you can take on yours.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's time for everybody's favorite segment, Hoda and Jenna's Social Dilemmas.
Okay, you guys, weigh in with us. Ready? Here's the first one. I'm invited to a wedding, but I don't believe in the relationship, and I don't think the couple will last. Do I have to attend?
Yes. Yes. It's your... yes, you have to attend. Yes. It's not? Yes, you do. Judge Judy, you're not going to go to their wedding? I mean, how do you know what the real story is? I don't approve, so therefore I won't attend.
Yeah. No, I agree. You should go. But at the same time, if I knew, and this brings up sort of a weird thing, but people in my audience, when they say, will you watch these people and bring them in? And you're supposed to say, we do.
Have you ever wanted to raise your hand and say, stop this?
No.
Okay. So,
but I just mean, I don't know as the bride if I want some sort of fake phony in my audience who doesn't believe in my relationship.
well, there's probably... I mean, there's.
Do you think there was one or two in my audience?
Yeah, there always is, because they're not. Maybe he's not good enough, or maybe they thought this.
Ooh.
You know, you never know. But I don't. I think you should attend the wedding because it's about their moment, not your judgment on their moment.
Okay,
That's what I think.
Here's our next one. Ready? Viewer Taylor in California. She writes, my usual hair colorist couldn't fit me in. Oh, and suggested I use another colorist at their salon. I actually prefer the new colorist and want to stick with her. How do I handle it? That's more complicated than we thought. That's a hard
one. That's super hard. I think you say it.
Yeah. See, we just thought, you know, you wanted to try somebody new, but the colorist...
Maybe the colorist wants to get rid of you. Oh. No, because you know what? They don't always like us. We think we're judging. They're like, somebody take this
They're
one
like,
off.
her hair is hard to do.
Yeah, or she's a pain.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. People don't really care. You know, everybody thinks other people are judging them and worrying about them and this and that. And it sounds like that when we read these questions. But the truth is, it might sting for a minute.
Yeah.
But they're going to be fine.
I think if you just say, look, it seems like she has more availability just because you're super busy and so popular.
It's time for me to move on.
And maybe I'll just go right here. Oh, my God, thank you.
It's time for me to
Thank you.
You really are on fire
on
today.
fire.
I think you should be a columnist.
I'm a problem solver today.
You are.
Today's my day.
All right. Last one. I was recently invited to a party, but I RSVP'd no. I didn't have a good excuse, but I just didn't feel like it. Well, my friend called to ask why I wasn't going. I've been avoiding her for days. What do I say? Make up a lie. Make up a lie.
I think you have to. I think you're
right. Sorry, you need to spend some time with your Aunt Sue.
Yeah.
You need to spend some time on the phone with your mom. You can make up.
What are you telling? You're not saying I can't come to your party because I have to talk to my mom on the phone. What are you saying? What's your lie?
That you need to go visit your grandparents. Listen, if you're me, your babysitter canceled.
Yeah, yeah. By the way,
I've used that one a lot.
But don't you hate when someone goes, I have somebody who could help?
Yeah, and then you say, no, I just don't feel comfortable with a new sitter.
Okay.
Or, you know what? Most people know it's my go-to excuse, and they just accept it.
They just know. Would you ever say, you know what?
I'm really tired.
I'm just so, I mean, I love you, and I love our one-on-one, but quite frankly, when you have a big to-do like that, I feel like I don't.
Here's the thing. You could, but you would say that to me because I would say, listen, here, come to this if you want, but you also don't have to.
Yeah.
But I would never call and say, why aren't you coming? The person that's calling
Unless
just
you said, hey, why aren't you coming?
No, I wouldn't say that.
That's different than, why aren't you coming?
Well, I wouldn't even say, hey, why are you not coming? Because if I had already told you you don't have to come, I wouldn't dig in.
Maybe that friend didn't say that. Maybe the friend didn't give her the out. It's very important to that friend that she be
That's what I'm saying. So then come up with a lie. Once and for all. All right, if you have a social dilemma that needs some advice, we want to hear from you. Just head to hodaandjenna.com, hit the connect button, and ask your question.
All right. What do we have coming up next?
Coming up next, Hollywood royalty.
Oh, yes. Come on.
Oh, my gosh.
Look at them. Look at them. Look at them touching. They're just so awesome.
Julia Roberts, George Clooney, and Hoda Kotb.
Oh, my gosh. Our conversation. It was really fun. It went a little off the rails. I want you to hear about the kissing scene. George and Julia, besties, they kissed in the movie.
What?
We'll tell you about it after this.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Yeah.
I love you too.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Okay, Hoda, dream day. Who'd you sit down with?
Oh, my God. I can't even believe that happened, but I did. I sat down with Julia Roberts and George Clooney. They are starring in this new movie. It's called Ticket to Paradise. So these two, who are dear friends, play a divorced couple trying to keep their daughter from marrying a guy she just met. But in real life, Julia and George are this tight, and I got a glimpse of their crazy, fun friendship. Okay, first of all, best part about working with Julia Roberts on this movie? Go.
The money.
Their on-screen chemistry in this romantic comedy is undeniable.
And flattery won't work. But you'll do it anyway. Why? Because it was your idea.
Ticket to Paradise is George and Julia's 6th film together. The two became fast friends working on Ocean's 11 more than 2 decades ago, and it shows.
She's a great friend, and so it's really fun to work with people that are truly good friends.
I don't like to say that we're very much alike, but we do have the same,
Beard.
I don't know how y'all didn't crack up through each take. I mean, I watch you two, and the banter seems like it's happening in that moment.
You learned that to make me look bad.
You don't need my help there.
Are y'all ad-libbing some of that?
We had a fair amount of ad-libbing, especially in the drunken scenes when they would put us with a group of people.
Which one?
There's only one.
I see 2. Oh, yeah.
Where we sort of have an audience, then we can't be stopped.
Well, there are the meanie parts, which are fun to watch, and there's also the kissing part. Is it awkward to kiss your dear friend?
It is when my wife and kids come by to visit me.
That was the first day they came to visit. It's like, Papa, Auntie Juju. It's like, get him out, get him out.
It's really bad. What are you doing, Papa? What is that?
Do y'all laugh when you're kissing? Is it funny?
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is, it is like kissing your best friend. And then,
thanks for that.
And then,
I was a
wait,
2 times sexiest
then
man
you go,
alive.
wait, my best friend's George Clooney.
Yeah, come
Maybe I
on,
better
man.
tune in a little bit. But then you just can't.
By the way, my favorite part of them, so many great parts, but y'all with your drunky monkey dance was a 10 plus.
Come on, I thought that was some good dancing. Didn't you? I mean,
I kind of did. I was kind of into it.
You're like, they're rolling a camera on you guys, right? Everybody's going to see it.
I loved every second of that one.
Dinosaur move. I am praying for an asteroid.
So, wait, his kids call you Auntie Juju.
She comes over to the house in Italy with the kids and stuff.
We've got twins that are going to college.
They are seniors in high school. I think everybody kind of feels like, wow, we can recognize these moments together as these really big page turners.
And speaking of twins, your twins are 5, right?
5, yeah.
Did I read that they are now speaking Italian?
French.
It is astonishing.
Do you speak all those languages?
No. It's a disaster. Every time they talk to each other in Italian when I'm talking to them, like, what'd you say? So it's a conspiracy.
I think having kids, I mean, I have obviously kids later in life too. I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old. I get scared sometimes, if I'm being totally honest, about being my age.
You do.
And sometimes I get afraid about what's ahead. Like sometimes when I think about milestones, I just hold my breath and think, please God, like I want to witness that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Do you ever have those?
No, I kind of like the idea of being sort of out of it when my daughter starts to date. I'd like it to be like, huh? Huh? I think I'm be comfortable with that. I really do. Papa, I want you to meet, he's a drummer in a band. I like toast.
Sometimes I get gripped with fear of blowing it. And sometimes I've just said to my kids, like, so today, me as a mom, can we just take that off the boards because I blew it.
Do y'all think you'll be working again together in a movie?
It's not gonna happen. I've learned my lesson. No.
Meanwhile, he's put me in his contract. He can't live without me on screen.
Of course not.
Yeah, why not?
She's also the best available, really.
Available.
I'm such a what? It's a morning show.
I love you guys so much. Thank you. Could you die?
You're right. The space between.
Yes, they have it. It's like they're magic. Ticket to Paradise in theaters October 21st. If you want more of our conversation, it's fun. It's worth listening to. It's
we
on
get
our
to listen
streaming
to the whole
channel
thing?
tonight at 9:30. Most of it. You can find it today all day on Peacock and on your smart TV.
Amazing. That was so much fun. Okay, you got something to watch? How about something to listen to?
Very cool. The best podcast playlists and more that'll have you hooked coming up after this.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
If you have a day off today, you may need a little extra free time. So listen up, because we got hours of entertainment to tell you about.
Everything from hilarious podcasts to feel-good playlists and spine-tingling audiobooks. Program director and host of Today Show Radio on SiriusXM, Holly Palmieri. She has some great recommendations for us.
Look at Holly. First of all, Holly, we've known you forever. It's so fun to see you sitting here. This is kind of fun.
It's the best. I'm used to bringing my own mic where I go. Apparently, you do this for yourself.
They take good care of you.
Yes, all right. But also you know what's on.
You're hip.
You know all the things. People have time to listen maybe when they're driving in the car. Should we start with the podcast that both you and Hoda are obsessed with?
Wait, let's say it together. Smartless. I love it.
What I love about this one, now,
Yeah.
Jenna, imagine you show up here to do an interview,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And you walk in and there's a mystery guest, but this mystery guest was picked by Miss Hoda Kotb.
Yeah.
It's all that you know.
That's exactly right.
The premise is so great. You've got Will Arnett, you've got Sean Hayes, you've got, oh my God, I just love them so much.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman. They have interviewed everybody. Tom Hanks, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Kristen Wiig at the episode is hilarious.
Should we start with Kristen Wiig?
Please start with that one, but start with going on the Instagram. They have a ton of great clips there, so you can get a feel for what the show is all about.
And the funny thing is you actually learn things about these people that you haven't heard in other interviews because they're comfortable.
Yeah.
They're like,
so it's funny, but it's kind of profound too.
Right. You're going to love.
They're comedians, but they do improv and they do it really well. Episodes drop every Monday, by the way. There's a new one today with Kevin Bacon.
Oh my God, love. All right, let's talk comedy, a comedy podcast. What do you like?
We love Elise Myers. The internet fell in love with Elise Myers. Okay, we know her from TikTok. She tells really great stories. She's a storyteller at heart, but her viral taco story.
Is it hysterical?
Is it hilarious?
We've got a great clip of it. It's so
take
good.
a look?
Okay, let's watch.
What's the worst first date I've ever been on? I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to tell you right now. We end up at a Taco Bell, which is fine. I'm like, dine in or drive through? And he's like, drive through. And I'm like, great, he has a plan. We get to the speaker and he just leans over and goes, I would like 100 hard-shell tacos, thank you.
Oh,
Bad first date. Bad first date. But she's got
tacos. That's a great first date.
The whole podcast is about these kind of stories that are cringeworthy in the moment, but once you look back on them, they're funny, you know? So new one's out tomorrow, actually, so we can check out for more for there.
It's almost Halloween. People are obsessed with true crime podcasts. Don't you like to solve some things?
True crime. It's a genre. People love it.
Oh, CJ.
Crime Junkie is one of my favorites. I think it's a great place to start if you haven't listened to true crime podcasts yet. They tell really great stories. They're scary, they're horror, they're violence. You're going to love it. And these are from the OGs. They're from 2017. They started their podcast too.
By the way, it doesn't even matter when the crime happened.
No.
You could watch one that was forever ago. How about Dateline? Are you into Dateline's
Love
podcast?
Dateline.
Do you love Keith?
I like listening during the daylight, though. I'm not a maniac. I don't fall asleep listening to Keith Morrison at night. But yes, we love the Dateline podcast.
By the way, I think I told you that whenever he voices a story, he says in the audio booth, he's telling his kid a bedtime story. Ooh. And then, Jenna, something amazing happens.
Do his kids have terrible dreams?
Maybe, but they're older now. I'm sure it's fine. All right, let's get totally zenned out. We love us some Jay Shetty.
I love Jay Shetty. I will listen to him read the dictionary and feel like I found purpose now. His podcast is great, and he's a former monk. He's got great advice. He's a wonderful guy, but we need him in small doses. So the Daily J on the Calm app.
I have the Calm app. It's great.
Wait, the Daily J's on that?
It's a perfect way to start your day.
My intention with the Daily J is for you to spend 7 minutes a day investing in yourself. And the Daily J is where meditation meets action.
Oh, meditation meets action.
I think the action piece of it is important.
Yes.
Because he does talk about that. Most people talk about the getting calm, getting clarity. I love
short
that.
stories,
By the
under
way,
10 seconds.
If you want a book, Think Like a Monk, which he wrote,
Yes.
has changed Henry's life. He loves
really?
it. Yeah, I need to read it. Okay.
All right.
Let's talk about cozy playlists that we can play while we put gourds around our house.
Ladies, we have put away our coastal grandma linens, right? We are ready for Meg Ryan fall.
Meg Ryan
what?
fall.
We are ready, and I'm telling you how many people, look at how many people have
Oh my
the
God,
same
Meg Ryan fall?
playlist, okay? And
Wait,
if you,
where do you get this?
This one's on Spotify, but you can find a Meg Ryan fall playlist anywhere. People are all on the same vibe
Okay,
here.
that is hilarious.
Meg Ryan fall is a new trend. We've been looking for it.
We were wondering. Thank you, Holly, for
You're
bringing us that.
welcome.
What about audiobooks? Anything you're listening to?
Stephen King. It's October.
yeah.
We're going to go right into
Yeah.
the scary stuff. He's got a new one called Fairy
Yeah.
Tale, all about good and evil. We love it.
I mean, I don't mean to leave one out, but there is a podcast called Making Space that has some new episodes coming. Don't worry.
When do they
I'm
drop?
fine.
When do they drop?
We're actually, by the way, it's coming back in the first of the year, but we are doing a ton of them. We're going to bank
What's the new?
bunch.
What's the vibe? Tell us.
It's all inspirational leaders and teachers, basically. It's through that lens. But an inspirational teacher can be you, can be you. It's through that lens. Really
we
big.
can't wait. We can't wait for more of
Okay,
that.
before we let you go, there's a new Sirius XM channel.
Yeah, my favorite.
What
It's
is it?
Halloween time. SiriusXM Scream. What's so cool about this? You can listen on the app. You can play it Halloween night
is it?
while you have
What do they
trick or
have?
treaters.
Is it music or stories?
Spooky
listen.
sounds.
Oh, spooky sounds.
Just have it on in the background.
You can make horror film moments. I mean, it's really, really fun. It's great for trick or treating night, Halloween parties. My favorite.
Holly, can we just say something? You hit a home run.
Listen up.
We are so glad that you
Please
came
come back.
today. Good job.
That was awesome.
All
Okay,
right,
so
good
while
job.
you're on Sirius XM, don't forget to tune into Hoda's interview. This was an incredible one with Iman, right?
Yeah, Iman, she was so beautiful, revealing, and amazing. 67 years old, beautiful life. It's available on the SiriusXM app.
Awesome.
And you can also go behind the scenes of our show, The Happy Hour. It's
Oh, I can't
Wednesday
believe we
afternoons
left
on
that
Today
out.
Show Radio. It's a hot show.
It really is. Y'all call in and get some advice. Coming up next, the viral moment when one man's dream became a beautiful reality and how he's making his community proud after this.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Okay, there's nothing like watching somebody's dream come true in real time. And that's exactly what the world got to witness for one young athlete.
Everything Marjan Beauchamp worked so hard for came together in one moment. And whether you're a basketball fan or not, it's a story that's going to make you feel good today. Take a look.
The Milwaukee Bucks select Marjan Beauchamp.
When I heard my name get called, I feel like everything I had to sacrifice and everything I had to go through, I just let it out. Man, that was just a special moment for me.
It was a viral moment from this year's NBA draft that lit up social media. People across the globe watching Marjan Beauchamp's dream become a reality.
Yeah, it's been my vision since 11 years old when I really started I want to be in the NBA, and I never thought it would be possible because I come from a small city, but I had big dreams.
Now Marjan is one of only 2 current NBA players of Native American descent. It's a long way from his start in Yakima, Washington, a small city known for agriculture and wineries. Marjan's family struggled to find opportunities.
Throughout my high school years, I had to move around a lot. Me and my dad weren't stable, and He was working a job where he didn't really get much hours. There was one point where we had to like stay in our car for a couple days. It was pretty tough for us because we didn't have much. Looking back at it, I feel like it taught me just really just be thankful, seeing how my dad did everything he could to keep me in the right place and keep me in the right position to pursue my dreams.
Despite a decade of hard work on and off the court, there were setbacks. The pandemic made it difficult for the high school graduate to get the attention of NBA scouts.
That was probably like the lowest part of my life, where I had to go back and to square one and just start over. I was starting to lose love for the game because I had no opportunities. I was experiencing a lot of like depression and anxiety and trauma, no like faith and no hope.
Marjan's life turned around with one call to his grandmother.
I reached out to her and she told me I'm here for a purpose.
With the new foundation built on faith and the unwavering support of his family, he got back to work, playing in junior college in the NBA's minor league. And today, Marjan is a Milwaukee Buck.
I'm just glad, I'm just happy, you know. God never gave up on me.
The staff saw something special within him.
Marjan is super humble. I think he has a great joy and kind of zest for life. Comes in with a smile every single day.
He's just got like this big caring heart. He still wants to give back, and he wants to make sure that he kind of connects with the community here in Milwaukee, and he's just a giver.
As a young player at home in Yakima, he didn't see anyone in the league who looked like him.
Not having someone to look up to, I didn't really have confidence in myself, you know, to really make it.
Which is exactly why Marjan makes time to visit members of the First Nation Studies program, which serves local Milwaukee public schools with concentrations of students with Native American background.
And I'm about to meet some new friends. And especially like to hear that they're Native American like me is I can't wait. Yeah, so let's go. I appreciate that. Appreciate it, my man.
He walked into the door and I felt happy.
He's being very kind and humble.
It's important for students to see someone that looks like them, creating opportunities like this, give children hope.
It's possible for every one of you guys in the seat. So yeah, just keep going. It makes me feel happy that I get to inspire others. There was a lot of up and downs through my journey, but everything I've been through, I felt like it prepared me for this moment.
Oh, isn't he awesome?
Amazing.
By the way, Marjan already has 3 NBA preseason games under his belt, and he's suiting up for 2 more this week.
Wow, cheering him on
Isn't it
all the
awesome?
way.
All right, coming up next, improving your mental health, the doctor's in after this.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
It is World Mental Health Day, and we have a doctor on call, psychiatrist Sue Varma.
Yeah, as the past couple of years have shown us, taking care of yourself is more important than ever. So, Dr. Varma, you are here to answer our viewers' questions, and we have lots of them. But we also want to be a helper when it comes to someone who's going through some of these difficult times. How can we all help out?
Quick,
Ask somebody, how are you doing? How are you really, really doing?
Yeah.
Just feeling seen and heard that somebody cares can go such a long way.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes how are you doing is kind of like a cliche.
Yeah.
How do you make it from how are you to
how are you really?
Yeah.
Yes. So ask specific questions. If the last time you saw them, they had a baby, their parent passed away, follow up on things that are important in their life. Put your phone away. People feel like they can't trust you if your phone is on. They feel like there's going to be an interruption. Studies show that people are less likely to go deep if they know that there's going to be a phone interruption.
Right, even a buzz.
Yes.
Even if they don't pick it up.
Or a
even if they
slight look at the email or the time. It's kind of rude. All right, let's get to our first question. We have some viewer questions. The first one is from Juliana.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Juliana from San Diego, and I want to know, how do you know when worry crosses into something that's a little bit more serious and it's not just everyday worry?
Yeah, so a lot of people have everyday worries and they're like, I'm not sure if I have anxiety or is this just what happens in the course of a day? How do you know?
Yeah, so look, there's so much to worry about right now with all that's happening in the world, but impairment in functioning is the hallmark. Are you having trouble meeting day-to-day demands? Are you having headaches? Are you having symptoms with your stomach? Irritability, trouble sleeping? The interesting thing is that high functioning anxiety, not a medical term, but this is where you don't see impairment in functioning on the outside, but the person is really struggling to meet demands. This is your typical type A, high achiever, can't miss a deadline, but inside it's at a huge cost to their mental health.
Okay.
So what should you do if you're that person?
Yes, so absolutely. Cognitive behavioral therapy, 8 to 10 sessions. There's tons of apps for cognitive behavioral therapy, workbooks that people can do, deep breathing, meditation, exercise, weight training, resistance, so beneficial. For low to moderate anxiety can be just as effective as therapy and medication, but seek help if you need it.
Okay. All right, we got a very important question from a sweet 9-year-old boy named Sebastian.
Hi, Dr. Varner. My name is Sebastian. How does bullying affect your mental health?
Oh, so sweet. Well, and yeah, bullying is really, really tricky because there's no end these days. So how do we talk to our kids?
Yes. So bullying chips away at one of our key human needs, which is belonging, to feel connected. So it's really important to realize that anxiety, depression, even in worst case, suicide can be an aftermath. What we have to do is use kindness and compassion to fight bullying. A simple gesture to say, don't eat lunch alone. Come sit with me. How are you doing? I will never forget, Hoda. You may not know this, but you and I used to live in the same building years ago. And the doormen loved Hoda. They were like, she asks every single person, how are you doing? With a smile, so generous and so kind. So, kindness is all about when it's not convenient and when nobody's watching.
But what if your kid is the one being bullied?
Yes.
What do you do?
So there's so many layers to this. Depending on the age, are you going to get involved with the school? Are you going to talk to the teacher? Are you going to talk to a school counselor? Are you going to get your child connected to the school? Are you going to get them therapy? A lot of times kids are bullied because they're vulnerable. They might be an underlying anxiety, depression to begin with, or some social skills deficit that they're struggling with. They might have a hard time asserting themselves. So there's so many layers to this, but understanding that even family therapy, even a couple of sessions can be very helpful.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's hear our next question. It's from Karina.
Hi, Dr. Varma. This is Karina from New York. I'm a parent and a well-being coach. My question for you is this. How do we take care of others when we ourselves are feeling burnt out?
Yeah. A lot of teachers and probably doctors, health providers are asking that.
Burnout is about exhaustion, cynicism, and not feeling like your work is effective and impactful. The way to fight this is, number one, find the underlying cause. So if you need more support at work or wherever it is, you need more extensions in your deadlines. But it's about reclaiming joy in your life. I call it having a joy practice. What do you love doing? I always ask people, what do you love doing and when is the last time you did it? Singing, painting, gardening, create 15 minutes for it. Flow and mastery are really antidotes to anxiety and the ruminations in our head.
Yeah, that's so smart.
Dr. Varma, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank
Good
you.
advice.
Thank you, Dr. Varma, and we'll be back after this.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks. It's not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
When was the last time you made space to listen to somebody?
What I learned from a very young age is radical love, radical forgiveness.
We are meeting people one after the next who have made profound changes.
It showed a lot of personal strength for me. Why am I trying to make other people happy over myself?
So many life lessons that are going on in these conversations. We're watching a transformation.
Join Hoda Kotb for her podcast, Making Space. Listen now.
Tomorrow, the fabulous Tracy Ellis Ross will be here.
Oh, we're so excited. And our good friend from across the street, Jimmy Fallon.
Well, have a great day, guys.
Wow, tomorrow's going to be awesome. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I won't let her throw her life away. We need to trick her into dumping him. As much as this will pain us both, we have to call a truce to make this work.
We have to be in lockstep.
Hey! Did you make a pact to not murder each other until you murder me first? We are here for you, my love.
Yes, we're in lockstep.
Yeah.
Ticket to Paradise is Julia and George's first romantic comedy together and their sixth collaboration.
You clean up pretty good.
It's a friendship that has spanned 2 decades. So you guys, when you say you're friends, it's more than friends, really. I mean, you have a lot of friends in Hollywood, I'm sure, but this sounds like it's definitely next level.
Well, we've been friends a long time.
Yeah,
I mean,
a long time.
She comes over to the house in Italy with the kids and stuff, and we've had, I mean, you know, we've been together, we've worked together a lot.
Yeah.
I got to produce a film that she was nominated for an Oscar for. And,
I was in the first movie he directed.
How is that being directed by George Clooney?
Yeah, come on, how is that?
You know, it's interesting because, no, I'm going to say this. I remember something so clearly because it's like, I think it's my opening scene, and I'm sitting in a booth at a restaurant, and I have this big hat on and red lipstick. He was very specific. I loved how specific he was and clear. I mean, that's what an actor wants more than anything, is just like a clear understanding with the director of what they want and what is expected. And he just would see me as just an actor when we were at work and talk to me as an actor and have these expectations. And it wasn't that same like just casual, oh, hey, Jules, so why don't you do this? It was like, okay, I want this to be just like this.
Wow.
And, you know, and it was really special. And I also, that it was his first movie and that I got to be a little part of it, I felt,
it was fun.
It really.
We had a really good time.
We did have a good time.
This whole movie, obviously, is a movie about parents who are upset that their daughter is marrying someone who they don't think is right for her. And
before they even meet him.
Before they even meet him. Yeah, everything was too fast, too far away. Like I was feeling the parents in the beginning. When you saw the script, were you like, this is us?
We both said, well, if you do it, I'll do it. Because it's sort of it is really the only way you could see it working.
But it was, I mean, it's a miracle that it all came together.
Yeah.
Okay, best part about working with Julia Roberts on this movie? Go.
The money. Well, I will be honest, which I don't like doing.
He doesn't, and I don't like when you are honest.
You don't like it because I'm nice sometimes, and that's a terrible.
Throws me.
She's a great friend, and she is, on top of all of the things that we all know she is, and everyone knows she is. She also is a very, very good friend, and so it's really fun to work with people that are truly good friends.
And Julia, best part of working with George on this movie?
Now I've cornered you. Now.
Yeah. I know you have cornered me. I'm going to say this because George and I don't like to say that we're very much alike, but we do have the same
beard.
How much time do we have here? We're going to get like 3.5 questions out. We have the same energetic spirit.
Yes.
At home, and I said that like we live together.
We do live together, which is a very weird for my wife and Danny.
But at work, we both really like a joyful, exuberant work experience, and we take that sort of leadership very seriously in a way, to be relaxed, to make other people relaxed and happy. And so being together on set is such in a way, it's a continuation of our real life together, which is just singing songs and carrying on. And
I don't know how y'all didn't crack up through each take. I mean, I watch you two, and the banter seems like it's happening in that moment.
You learned that to make me look bad.
You don't need my help there.
Are y'all ad-libbing some of that, or is it all?
Not much.
Well, no, we had a fair amount of ad-libbing, especially in the drunken scenes.
Yeah.
But what it would be, too, is when they would put us with a group of people, like at the graduation, where we sort of have an audience, then we can't be stopped because we feel it's our responsibility. They have to sit there all day to entertain them. And so we had a different searing joke at each other.
Yeah, there were a couple where, you do it and then we both stop and like go, is this the step too far?
This is too mean.
And we finally ended our friendship.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
What was your first impression once you saw it all come together?
I thought, it just felt like a salve. An hour and a half salve.
I remember you saying to me though, when we saw it, and you go, "You're so mean to me."
I was shocked, actually.
Really?
I had forgotten how really some of it was kind of searing. Ma'am, I need to sit somewhere else.
I'm sorry, it's a full flight.
We used to be married.
The worst 19 years of my life.
We were only married for 5.
I'm counting the recovery.
And because I've gotten away from it and George hasn't said anything mean to me in a week, I was like...
I could do it now.
Well, there are the meanie parts, which are fun to watch, and there's also the kissing part. Is it awkward to kiss your dear, dear friend?
It is when my wife and kids come by to visit. Remember?
That was the first day they came to visit. It's like, Papa, oh, Auntie Juju. It's like, get him out, get him out.
It's really bad. What are you doing, Papa? What is that?
No, they didn't see
They were around.
Who wants ice cream?
Do y'all laugh when you're kissing? Is it funny or is it, are you trying to?
Yeah, we laughed. It was funny.
Wait,
It
Julia,
made us
tell me.
laugh. Yeah, it was.
It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, because listen, it is like kissing your best friend. And
Well,
then,
thanks for that.
And then.
I was the
wait,
2-time sexiest
then
man
you go,
alive.
wait, my best friend's George Clooney.
Yeah, come
Maybe
on,
I better
man.
tune in a little bit, but then you just can't.
My favorite.
Boy, you really helped my reputation.
What about from your end?
From my end?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really kiss from my end. We were doing it right on the lips.
Open that door, Hoda.
No, it was fun. Look, we knew what we were going to do. We knew what the job was, and it's funny. We were very professional, but it does make you laugh.
And that was the day, too, that the first time in my 30 years in show business, I had a 3:30 call. Never.
3:30 a.m.?
Uh-huh.
That's when you get up every day,
I know,
isn't it?
that's our speed. So
Okay.
wait, what was it?
This is not my speed. And I'm an early riser. And I was like, 3:30, are you sure about this? Because they wanted the sun to be rising while we were kissing and this whole thing. And so I think it was also a ploy of All's. He thought if we're exhausted, if he has us tired enough in that moment, that we might be serious.
Yeah, he was wrong.
It was beautiful. By the way, my favorite part of the movie, so many great parts, but y'all with your drunky monkey dance.
Dad, please stop doing that.
Oh, yeah!
People are looking.
Was a 10 plus.
Come on, I thought that was some good dancing, didn't you? I mean,
I kind of did. I was kind of into it.
Those were our moves, man.
For real?
Well, actually, if you think of about 20 years ago when we were doing Oceans, we had a party, remember, in Vegas?
Uh-huh.
Pretty much the same moves.
They were the same moves, to different effect, and we were actually drunk.
Y'all did look drunk in that
Yeah.
thing. It looked like you were really putting them down. Was there any ounce of those drinks that were actually real beverages?
No.
No.
I've never done a film with Julia that I was sober. I don't think ever, really. It's hard, They're like, you're going to kiss Julia.
Just leave the bottle.
Just leave the bottle. No, there was no drinking, although when we watched it, we thought we were...
I was really impressed with how drunk and loopy, and I think that was some of our best acting.
Well, the young kids just were they were shockingly embarrassed.
The first take watching us, because All was like, okay, I'm not even going to pretend to tell you guys what to do. Just stay
watch.
in this area. And we sort of took off, and
they were like,
they were stunned. They were paralyzed.
We thought we were really funny, and they didn't. Remember, they were just kind of staring at us like we were in the zoo, and we were like, pretty funny, huh? And they're like, oh my God.
You're like, they're rolling a camera on you guys, right? Everybody's going to see it.
Dinosaur move. I am praying for an asteroid.
They can see what it's like to get old, and it's terrifying them,
A masked killer takes aim and fires. A fatal attraction that leads investigators to turn towards their own. Internal Affairs, a new podcast from Dateline. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
A masked killer takes aim and fires. A fatal attraction that leads investigators to turn towards their own. Internal Affairs, a new podcast from Dateline. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
witness to history, and I know we felt so privileged and so touched to be there.
Josh had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that takes a little bit of credit for it?
Yeah, of course.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We've got twins that you have that are, don't tell me, did I read right? They're going to college?
Well, they are seniors in high school. They
So-
will be 18 in November.
Oh my word. How are you feeling about that? Your kids going off to college?
You know, I have feelings about it.
Yeah.
But you know, the nice thing is that the 5 of us in my family, I think we all have very similar feelings about it right now. So it's not like, you know, it's just
can't
me.
wait to get away.
Yeah, it's not like just me going, oh my gosh, you guys are going off to school. I think everybody kind of feels like, wow, we can recognize these moments together as these really big page turners, you know, and so it's nice that we're having that experience together.
And speaking of twins, your twins are 5, right?
5, yeah.
Did I read that they are now speaking Italian?
French.
Italian and French?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Teaching them all
This is
kinds?
stupid. I mean, honestly, I've done dumb things in my life. We all know that. This is the dumbest.
But it is astonishing. First of
us.
all, they're such lovely kids.
Yeah.
They're just so sweet, lovely kids. And my kids
Adore them.
Adore them.
Yeah.
Because they're just these little sweet balls of hilariousness, especially Alexander. But if I speak Italian and George speaks English and you're one of George's kids, they will speak in Italian and then speak in English and then speak in Italian and then speak in English and go back and forth. And it's like, wait.
Do you speak all those languages?
No. It's a disaster. Every time and they talk to each other in Italian when I'm talking to them, like, what'd you say? So you know it's a conspiracy.
And it's a twin thing anyway. Like aside from the language thing, it's a twin thing.
This has been a disaster. What's happened to me?
Do you know you are sitting next to a man who has never been in an argument with his wife?
Well,
I've been in an argument with you though, so
Yeah.
it works out.
His work wife.
But do you find that like shocking?
No.
You don't?
I don't.
Tell me.
don't fight.
Because I don't fight with
You
my
don't
husband
fight
either.
with your husband either.
They don't fight.
How do you resolve conflicts? Like, how do
We
you?
just don't fight. It's just not how we communicate with each other. It's not.
Yeah.
It's never been
your language
called for. It has never been our language.
But you just have ways of resolving conflicts in your house through just regular conversation and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Well, I also think, you know, every once in a while, luck plays in a part in all
Yeah.
this. You know, I feel very lucky that I met Amal, and I feel very lucky, sort of late in life for me, that, you know, the things that you used to as a young person, you know, guys in particular, I think you would defend in a way that you don't have to when you're older. You know, I know how lucky I am to be with Amal, so if we're gonna paint the wall yellow, and I think it's a really dumb color, who cares?
Who cares?
And when you're 28, you might, and you want to fight about those things. So many things in life that I think when you're young you would fight about. You know, when you get old, like Julia, you don't fight so much.
I think having kids, I mean, I have obviously kids later in life too. I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old. I feel like I'm a different parent than I would have been. I feel like I am, I feel like I'm just a better person. I get scared sometimes, if I'm being totally honest, about being my age.
You do.
And sometimes I get afraid about what's ahead. Like sometimes when I think about milestones, I just hold my breath and think, please God, like let me, I want to witness that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Do you ever have those?
No, I kind of like the idea of being sort of out of it when like my daughter starts to date. I'd like it to be like, huh? Huh? I think I'm be comfortable with that. I really do. Papa, I want you to meet, he's a drummer in a band. Hello? I like toast. I'm okay with it.
No, I think, but here's the thing, the truth is, because we all, no matter how old we are, George being the oldest of us, it doesn't, you know, they have chosen us in this moment to be their stewards and their shepherds in this life experience. And, you know, it all happens when we're ready. I met Danny when I was ready. You met Amal when you were ready. It's like, and then we call these children into our lives when we're ready to best partner with them. And so sometimes I get gripped with fear of blowing it. And sometimes I've just said to my kids, like, so today, me as a mom, can we just take that off the board? Because I blew it.
Yeah. I remember Bono would talk about his kids, and he said, I had a conversation with once where he said, they're like 15, and he said, now we're about to get to the age where you're just gonna, for no reason at all, hate me. You're gonna hate me for like 5 years. Yeah. You're just gonna be against me. And he goes, and then you're gonna come back and you're gonna think I'm kind of cool, and we're gonna get along really well, and we're gonna have a great life. He goes, can we just skip those
the middle
years?
part?
I like that idea.
I do too.
I think there are so many parts. I don't want to dwell on parenting, but I'm just kind of in the middle of it. And since I'm sitting with both you guys, I feel like I have certain things I try to teach my kids. And one of them is when they don't know something or they feel stupid, instead of saying, either ignoring it or saying, being embarrassed about it, we have something that we say, and it is, I guess I haven't learned that yet. And
that's nice.
Yeah, it's like a small thing, but little bits and pieces. Are there things that you've tried to teach your kids that you hope that they will carry with them as they head off into the world, into college?
Well, my kids are a little older, and I feel like the one thing that we've always tried to instill in them is to just remember who you are when you're out in the world. Remember that you, as one person, are representing 5 people, and just to conduct yourself in that same way that you would when we're all together, when you're by yourself out in the world. So, and I think that's, not only does it make you feel like you're not so all alone out in the world, it does kind of remind you to just be that much more thoughtful or that much more helpful if you can be.
Beautiful. George, what about for you?
I guess I haven't learned that.
I knew you were going to say it. I was waiting for it. Oh, I love that you did it.
You're going to tee it up for me. I'm going to take it.
I just knew it.
God, I love this friendship so much. Okay, so we looked up your zodiac signs. You're a Taurus, you're a Scorpio. Okay, so here's what it says.
The really weak signs.
They are opposite signs in the zodiac, giving them a special complex connection. They can combine to make a whole, each partner's strength balancing the other's weaknesses.
Quiet.
Taurus and Scorpio have tons in common, but because their personalities are both so powerful, they often swing between passionate love and passionate disagreement. Do you think, is there any truth to that?
There was till the end. We don't disagree. The only things we disagree on is one for the road. No, one time I got up, I had to leave dinner. Okay.
What are you going to tell? I don't know.
No, one time I had to leave dinner because I had to work the next day. And we're all sitting there at dinner, and we were having a beautiful dinner and drinks and having this great time. And I said, I'm so sorry, I really have to leave. And I get up in this nice restaurant, and I start walking out, and George goes, quitter! Julia Roberts is a quitter!
Yeah, you got to throw her under the bus every once in a while.
Yeah.
Somebody has to throw her under the bus. Everybody's, oh, Julia. No,
so that's what you do. Those are our disagreements.
I love that. Do y'all think you'll be working again together in a movie?
It's not going to happen. I've learned my lesson. It took 5 or 6 times, but I've learned. No.
Meanwhile, he's put me in his contract. He can't live without me on screen.
Of course not.
Yeah, why not?
She's also the best available, really.
Available.
I love you guys so much. Thank you. It's so fun
to nap now.
I know. It's fun to watch.
We wear you out.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
too.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
You get one beautiful life to live. Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold.
We have this circle of women that love each other.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
Love you too.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
High-profile movies are just now being rolled out. Among the first is the romantic comedy Notting Hill. It tells the story of an unlikely romance between the world's most famous actress, played by Julia Roberts, of course, and a shy London bookseller, played by Hugh Grant.
The thing that's so irritating is that now I'm so totally fierce when it comes to nudity clauses.
You actually have clauses in your contract about nudity?
Definitely. You may show the dent of the top of the artist's buttocks, but neither cheek. Or if there's a stunt bottom being used, artist must have full consultation.
You have a stunt bottom?
Well, I could have a stunt bottom, yes.
Wow, and are people tempted to go for better bottoms than their own?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Julia Roberts, good morning. Nice to see you again. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Gee, what original question could I ask you? You play a world-famous movie star, Anna Scott. Could you relate to her? I'm kidding. Poor Julia.
People don't realize we just had this conversation. We were chatting about this.
Well, people don't probably realize that you've been asked over and over again about the parallels between this woman you play, who's gracing every magazine cover in the world, and your real life. When you were first approached about this, I understand you thought the idea stunk. And then as you read the script, you thought, I could really do this. What was it about the script that made you think you could take the plunge?
Well, because I felt that the story was so beautifully constructed, and I felt that really the idea of her being a famous actor was just a great contrivance to show real extremes of people's lives and how to make things that are so drastically different work. Because I think these two characters are different on so many levels, culturally and just sort of their upbringing and all that, separate and apart from their jobs.
They really are. I mean, she's like the princess of popular culture. He hasn't heard of anything. I mean, he's been basically living under a rock. A few of the things I was like, oh, come on, you've heard of that. But he really is sort of disengaged from what's going on in the world.
Yeah. But I just loved it. I loved it. And Richard Curtis is a brilliant writer. And he really constructed a story that I just felt I wanted to participate in telling.
He wrote 4 Weddings and a Funeral, right? And a lot of the movie really is sort of ensemble acting. Was that fun for you, working with these actors?
Well, it was fun. It was daunting in a way, because we'd all be, sitting around this table, and I'm telling you, English people can say anything and sound clever, charming, and just so smart.
Right.
And then I would sort of open my nasal mouth and be like, what are you talking about, And every time I get my heart broken, the newspapers splash it about as though it's entertainment. And it's taken 2 rather painful operations to get me looking like this.
Really?
Really.
No, nice try, gorgeous, but you don't fool anyone.
Just to sit there at that table and sort of watch them each have their shining moment was so exciting as an actor, just to witness.
There is sort of a moment of truth there about celebrity, and I'm sure you've been talking about this ad nauseum and about some of the downsides of celebrity status. Do you think a lot of people, though, will see this movie, and obviously Anna Scott is experiencing the downside of being famous, but they might kind of say, boo-hoo?
Well, I kind of said boo-hoo to her. But at a certain point, you have to realize that she's doing the best that she can. And if the best that she can do is to be a little whiny or to not take the highest road with a situation, that's okay. I mean, it's not my place. It's not... it's just not anyone's place to judge her experience, because I think where she's at in her life, she hasn't really come to terms with how famous she is or the opportunities that she's given. And I think by the end of the movie, she's really getting there.
But it also is true that while most famous people wouldn't trade it, there are things about it that are really difficult at times, without sounding whiny.
Yeah, there are things that are more challenging than other things, and things that test the patience more than other things. But all workable, all achievable. I had someone say to me the other night at the premiere, I'm dressed to the teeth, I'm there with my man, my hair looks fabulous, and she said, could you tell us about the downside of fame? I said, baby, look at me. You see a downside? Like, what are you talking about? And it really is all about the way you choose to view it.
You're doing another movie with Richard Gere. I'm sure that every person in America has asked you this as well, but it's called Runaway Bride. Mm-hmm. It is not Pretty Woman 2, but it really is just teaming up the two of you again, and Gary Marshall as well. Are you happy with it?
Well, I haven't seen it, but we sure had a lot of fun making it.
Was it like the old days, or?
Well, no, because the difference between being 20 and being 30 is vast. I'm like a different person now. And so it was really interesting on a Freudian level, where I've become very kind of the pop psychologist, So on that level, I was fascinated at every turn. And it was nice because we had some of the same cast that we had in Pretty Woman came in and did things for us. Hector Elizondo.
The guy from the Ginkgo biloba commercials now. I love him.
Oh, Hector. Yeah.
He's always talking about Ginkgo biloba now.
He's
but
also
anyway,
on Chicago Hope.
I know. I know. More important.
Nice.
We digress. The movie is called Notting Hill. Julia Roberts, it's really fun talking to you. And we'll be back in a moment. Julia and I are going shopping, though.
The winner is Sidney Poitier. It is a long journey to this moment.
You're watching the Academy Awards. Can you start by sharing the story of when you were 10 years old?
Oh, that story.
And you were watching the Academy Awards, the limos, the glam, and then they announced that Sidney Poitier wins the Academy Award.
I was sitting on a linoleum floor, and as I think about it, I can feel the linoleum, and watching on a Magnavox black and white TV, and Sidney Poitier getting out of a limousine is the first time I've actually seen a black man getting out of a limousine, and nobody was dead. And so that got my attention. And then he wins. And I don't even think I knew at the time what an Oscar was, because it wasn't like I was 10 years old in Milwaukee, and it wasn't like I was watching movies. But standing there watching him receive the award is the first time I had the thought, because we were called colored at the time. Mm-hmm. And I had the thought that if a colored man could do that, if he could do that, I wonder what I can do.
For Oprah Winfrey, this early memory was a turning point and ultimately inspiration to produce a new documentary about the man who became her mentor and friend, called Sidney.
You think of yourself as a colored man. I think of myself as a man.
Sidney Poitier was raised on Cat Island in the Bahamas by his parents, who were tomato farmers.
The world I knew was quite simple. I didn't know there was such a thing as electricity, or that water could come into the house through a pipe. I never thought about what I looked like. I didn't know what a mirror was.
Poitier moved to the United States at 15, with no blueprint for the racism he'd face when he arrived.
I just go, how did he do it? How did he, with no role models, with no template before him, and he made a path for all of us.
Oscar-nominated producer Reginald Hudlin directed films including Boomerang, Marshall, and now Sidney.
Particularly as a filmmaker, what did he mean to you?
Well, he meant so much to me as a man. I mean, besides my father, he was the template of what manhood was. The intelligence, the courage, the intensity, the discipline, the moral compass.
Integrity.
We can just rock them all day.
Yeah, rock them all
so
day.
many words that sum up the measure of a man. And that was just kind of in my DNA. I wasn't fully conscious of it until I started making the movie. And I was like, oh, that's what he means to me. Of course, I know his importance as an actor and how he transformed popular culture on a global basis. I knew when he became a filmmaker and he had the most successful black film ever made, Stir Crazy, a record that held for 20 years. I was very conscious of that.
Which is still one of the funniest things ever.
Ever.
It's one of the funniest things ever.
Right, and a guy who is known for being an amazing dramatic actor who turns out to have an amazing talent for comedy. The talent and the breadth of skills keep growing and growing and growing.
Quincy Jones had a 42nd birthday party for me. Sidney Poitier was there. And I remember going downstairs, turning a corner, and he was just standing there. And I froze because here's my hero.
Not everybody gets to meet their heroes.
Not everybody does. And most importantly, most of the times when you meet your heroes do not measure up. In this case, he exceeded every measurement I ever could have imagined.
How did he make you feel?
What he was able to do, as you will hear from anybody who's ever known him, is that he made everybody who was in his presence feel like they were the most important person he'd ever been with. And he had a deep curiosity and love of human beings, period, no matter who it was he met. You couldn't be out to lunch or dinner with him where he wasn't speaking to the waiter or he wasn't asking to see the chef or going into the kitchen and talking to the people. He had that quality about him that everyone was seen and felt in his presence. But what he made me feel was something, when I met him, was something beyond anything I can even describe in an interview. I mean, I believe that we were soulmates. We used to talk about the fact that we certainly had met in another universe at another time.
For Sherry, Anika, and Beverly, 3 of the icon's daughters, he was just dad.
For all 3 of you guys, what was it like for you guys as children to see such adoration for your father? Were you aware of the magnitude of his impact, or was it when you got a little bit older?
Okay, I mean, this is going to sound terrible, but, it was very annoying because we couldn't go anywhere. We would go to Disneyland and people would stop you every, few feet. Oh my God, is that Sidney Poitier? Yeah. So my sister and I, we were in the back and we were really kind of tired of this. So this lady said, is that Sidney Poitier? And we said, no, people always think that. And he heard us and he was livid. He said, it is because of women like that and those people that we're here today. You don't disrespect them. And, that was like, oh, okay.
I think I knew always what he did, and I knew that because people would constantly say, do you know how lucky you are to have a father that you have? And so I had an idea, but I didn't until I was older have any understanding of the impact that he had on so many people.
I used to think that he was God because he knew so much. And I would look at him and say, man, how do you know all these things? Really? He would tell me how many stars there were in the sky. Well, who told you? I was like, the way every dinner time, we would sit around the table and just listen to what he had to say because it was fantastic. Oh my God, it was wonderful. I would say, we've got to be home for dinner.
Wow.
Oh yes, had to be home for dinner because I wanted to find out what Daddy was going to talk about.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
I was watching some of his films and rewatching some of his films, particularly Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And I just lost my grandfather. He was 98 years old, and they were about the same age. They were about 3 years apart. And my grandfather was a physician. And I remember my grandmother would show me these pictures of my grandfather dressed to the nines, so honorable, so kind. And so I remember watching Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and there's the scene where he's in this suit. And I pulled up a picture of my grandfather at that same time. Where he's in a suit.
Oh.
But I think for me, there were so many men who lived so honorably, Black men, and not just necessarily physicians. And I thought about perhaps, you know, for the first time, he finally was able to see himself projected on the big screen, and men like him, and there were so many of them, you know, and they weren't diminished. They weren't devalued. They were able to keep their heads up. We know what that meant. And also for whites to see that on the big screen. Can any of you talk about the importance, finally, of seeing that representation?
You know, you look at the history of cinema, from Birth of a Nation on, all these horrific images that demean and diminish Black humanity. And suddenly, he emerges, fully formed from the very beginning, with the intelligence and the intensity and the courage and the class and the elegance and the moral compass, everything that he is. And he makes the right decision every time. He picks the right role. He plays it right. He refuses to do anything that diminishes himself or anyone that looks like him, anyone that he represents. And he does it for decade after decade after decade, and he never makes a mistake. It's an impossible achievement.
And then when he gets behind the camera, he brings other Black people behind the camera in.
Open the doors.
Open the doors for so many others.
Right. And I stand here as a grandchild of his, you know, and all my peers today, actors, filmmakers, all of us, we all stand on the shoulders of Sidney Poitier. But it's much bigger than entertainment. Please don't.
Oh, we'll get
let's not
there.
stop
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely.
You don't have Barack Obama if you don't have Sidney Poitier.
Oprah, you talked about the scene in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner where Sidney's character told his father, let me read this, you think of yourself as a colored man. I think of myself as a man. And you went on to say that defined Sidney Poitier.
One of the reasons, one of the multitude of reasons why I have such admiration, love, and respect for him is because he came to the United States by the time he was 15 as a fully whole human being. There was no hole to fill in terms of his own identity. And one of my favorite stories that he tells in the documentary is about not even knowing what color he was or what color was until he was 10 years old, because he didn't even know what a mirror was. He'd never even seen himself in the mirror. And so, as is the case with a lot of people who are raised in all Black countries or all Black communities where race is not an issue, and you literally are defined by the content of your character. And the content of his character was established by his parents. I mean, there's nothing you can read or hear or any story that's ever told about him that is not grounded in Reginald and Evelyn Poitier.
There's also a part in the documentary that takes us to 1967, 1968, this time of civil unrest. Did he ever talk about what was that like when things are spiraling literally around him and he's this Hollywood star?
There's always that question. Do the times make the man, or does the man make the times, right? And, you know, the answer is always a little bit of both. So here is this revolutionary force that's transforming Hollywood, that's transforming political activism. He's all these things at once. He's carrying the entire transformational moment on his back.
Because he's carrying it on his back because he's the one that we see. He's the one that's visible.
He's it. And he's willing to take the burden, right? Which is not a small thing. And he knows he can't just be it on screen. He has to live it in his life. He's doing this. 1967, he's the #1 box office star on the planet Earth. He has a triple, 3 movies that come out in the same year that I don't think anyone has ever matched. To Sir with Love, In the Heat of the Night, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, all in the same year. And at the same time, The Defiant Ones is playing on TV. So he owns 1967. He is the symbol of all the transformation, the inflection point in this country. And in 1968, everything changes. We lose Martin Luther King. You know, he has all these terrible losses in his own life. He and the culture who he's leading now moves ahead of him. But they don't. Because the reality is he has a moral center and he has a value system which is classic, which is why it's important to tell the story. When we really say, okay, let's take a look at what this man did from a historical perspective, you go, he was always right. He was always the leader. And there's so many lessons that today we need to learn from him.
Yeah, and his integrity is inflappable and infallible. You cannot deny that he has lived the most extraordinary life because of his value system. It's the way he operated and the way he carried himself. And this sense of elegance and presence that everybody talks about was not an external thing because he didn't view himself as a movie star. He considered himself a man and a father, first and foremost.
Did it come with the weight of pressure? I know at times he talked about feeling lonely.
It's always hard being the first. When you're the first to do anything, people are coming at you from all sides. And in the case with him, black people are coming against you, white people are coming against you saying, how dare you, who do you think you are, who do you think you are? It's one of the reasons he and I connected so well. In our very first meeting, I had a conversation with him about what do you do with all the criticism and trying to be everything for everybody? And he said, my dear, it's challenging when you're carrying other people's dreams. Yes.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Yeah.
I love you too.
These days, days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
I do want to sing your mother's praises for a second. The story that got me, Beverly and Sherry, was when your father bought your mother a mink. And she chose to, take that, return it or whatever she did, but invest it, right, into A Raisin in the Sun, and becoming, in fact, the largest investor on Broadway. We know how successful it was. We know what it meant to your father. But how about that, even at that time, to invest?
Well, when she was at Columbia, before she married Daddy, she was studying accounting.
Yes.
And she grew up
Makes
in
sense.
Alabama, Bridgeport, Alabama, and her grandmother was kind of like the leader of the town, because she made sure she found out how to get school buses for the kids so they didn't have to hop the train. So I mean, she was always involved in that kind of stuff. She's always involved in organizations and helping people and NAACP and all that kind of stuff. So that's just who she is. And today she would do something like that.
Well, long before it was a phrase on a T-shirt, he was clearly a loving girl dad. So what do you remember about your dad growing up?
Well, I remember we used to travel a lot. We'd be in a hotel room and bored, and so we would dress him up. And we would put makeup on him and do his hair with bows and barrettes, and then we would call room service and order food and make him go to the door and answer it.
Oh, no!
It was just pure fun with his kids. It was just genuine and loving, and he loved to just make us laugh and giggle.
I love that. It's funny, I come from a blended family, and the same thing with my father. He wants to make sure that each of us feel his love. And that was so clear with your father as well. Did you feel it even individually?
Yes. I had a party. I was 16 or something, and he was in Europe. It was a good party. It was dancing and everything. And around, 9 o'clock, 9:30, Mommy says, you have a phone call. And I was like, oh, okay. The party's over. What? What?
From Europe.
Yes. And I'm like, where are you? And I said, Daddy, it's only 9:30. He said, the party's over. I hung up the phone. I said, he's in Europe. What is he going to know? 15 minutes later, I hear people. I was like, I can't catch a break. I mean, no matter where I am, what I do, he's there. He knows what I'm doing, As long as he was around, I was going to be safe. I drove from New York to Texas when I got married the first time, and I was scared to go through the South. And I told Daddy, I said, I'm kind of scared to drive down there. He said, you'll be fine. And for me, it meant, he must have hired some people to follow me.
So Lenny Kravitz said this quote, and I wrote it down because I liked it. It says, he came to this earth to move it. Beyond acting, he went on to direct and produce, start a production company, and he opened doors for so many others.
When you read his biographies, you see, just as in the life of any famous person or people who've done great things in the world, most people don't start out, and neither did he, to say, I'm going to do great things in the world. I'm here in the world to move it and to shake it. I think it is the force of his being. It is the will of who he decided he was going to be as a man that allowed him to do all of the great things. And it is his innate sense of love for himself and love for his family that he was able to exude, that literally comes from the core truth of who he is and was as a man, that we saw expressed in the world. So through his art, we got to see who he was as a man, who he was as a father, who he was as a husband, who he was as a friend. But all of that, really, the reason why the love is so deep for him, for me, and I think for all who cared for him, is because we know that was real. That was real. That wasn't just some external star power people were looking at. that was the real man.
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning. I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Talked about just losing my grandfather. And I remember towards the end knowing that there would be a time where I couldn't just call and he would pick up the phone. And now I miss the conversations. Tell me about your day and he would just listen. What do you miss?
You know, I miss him so much now, and I know we all do, but I miss him because of these times. I mean, I used to talk to him and I just feel like he would be able to help all of us sort out these times. Yes, make some sense of it. So I miss our phone calls. Yeah,
I do too. You know, I just miss calling or picking up the phone and it's Daddy, and we start talking, and we talk quite a long time about different things, and the cosmos, as he was very much into. Yes. He was very much into the stars and the planets and what was going on, and he told me
the
one
forces
time,
and the forces.
He said, I think I could just live out my days going into space, into like a spaceship, and just live out my days. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, but
I'd say let's go.
He was just like, no, he said he was going. Sherry, you're not going. But
I think he would have actually, taken one of those trips. Yes, he would have done
Definitely.
it. Yeah.
I miss, it's gonna make me cry. I miss hugging him. And sometimes I can still there's like a muscle memory. You can still feel the person, even though they're not here.
You're gonna make me cry. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I miss hugging him, and I miss this, he was very silly. And, it's the little things that I miss, the weird exercises he would make up to do to stay healthy, that did nothing for him, I miss talking to him. I still talk to him, but it's the physicalness, I think, is the hardest for me, like not being able to go and see him or hold his hand or get that look that everything is going to be okay.
Right.
It's calm down, it's fine. Those are the things.
And Sherry, what about you?
His laughter. Oh,
I love it.
When he clapped his hands and fall out and oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah, I just miss his laughter.
Do you still feel him?
Every day. Every day.
How often do you think of him?
I mean, all the time. How do I not think of him? It's, he's in everything that I do. He's in my children. I see his laughter. My son has his laugh. It's like, he's still so present.
Yes.
Right.
I thought it was so interesting, Beverly, when you were saying that you had a chance to see the documentary, and even for you as his daughter, to see his life play out.
I watched it and I knew the story, I knew all of the things, but it's like you hear people say so often, he changed the world, he made life, places better for everybody, he was so this, he was so that, and I kept watching it and wanting to recognize or feel what everybody else saw. But to me, he's always going to be daddy. Exactly. You know, he's just always going to be daddy. The person who does it the right way, who expects you to do it the right way, and the person who wants you to be honest, the person who is making sure that he represents his family well. And I think that he instilled that in us. That you have to, you know, you're not here by yourself. You can't run around and do stuff and just be insulated. Whatever you do ripples through. So my father was a great man, and it was just, watching the movie, it was just like an amen after a sermon.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh. And I will say that it's a testament to what you guys did, because it is the essence of him. You guys captured the essence of him in that film. And
that was the goal. That's such a compliment, because that was the goal.
That was, yeah. You know,
that was the goal.
I was hoping to make the final gift to all of us, because he meant everything to all of us, whether you knew it or not. And we can now share some of those amazing lessons we all learned, so we can all benefit.
You know you made him proud. When you hear his daughters say that you captured their father, how does that feel?
We said from the beginning, when we sat down to talk about what we wanted to do, so you all honor us so much with your words, because our intention has been fulfilled, because the family just told us exactly what we wanted to do. And the intention was an offering. He used the word gift, and I said, it's an offering to the world, so that the world can come to know him as we do. And so the world can see the best of themselves reflected in the best man I have ever known. He is the best man I have ever known, heard, read about. I don't know anybody more extraordinary than Sidney Poitier.
We're walking out into the arena. Are you gonna miss this moment? Everyone, Roger!
Yes and no, because it is always connected to a lot of nerves. And
you get nervous still?
I used to get very nervous in the beginning, and then towards the end less, you know, but still the hours, you know, and hours before just the thought of playing a night session match in front of a lot of people. Yeah, it can be draining, you know, but so I will not miss that part of being like, oh, waiting all day. But this moment where the whole crowd, you know, chants your name or is so happy to see you, it really is what you didn't work for or go into rehab for or do surgeries for. It's true.
Why you work so hard.
Why you work hard,
Absolutely magnificent.
In more than 1,500 matches over 24 years, Roger Federer gave his heart, soul, and body to the game he loves, making the decision to retire not easy.
How did it feel to press send on the announcement that you are retiring?
It was good. It was the right thing to do. I've played for long enough not to second guess myself on it. It was more stressful just getting the words right, the letter, the audio form, what I did. Just a stressful day until I hit the button.
Have you been able to absorb all the accolades and the headlines and this moment? Have you been able to soak it in?
I actually haven't seen much TV footage or things that TV stations have put together yet. So I hope that a lot of people and friends of mine are assembling everything, and then once after the Labour Cup is over, I can have a proper look at everything that was said and done for me.
Well, take me through it. I mean, it seemed like even as recently as Wimbledon, you were still holding out some hope that you could return. How did you come to the realization that the body was just not going to be able to do it anymore?
I mean, I was already very unsure if I should show up at Wimbledon because I was hurt, and having not played for a year. So I didn't know if I was supposed to be there. And anyway, totally the right call to make to go there. And when I spoke on the court, I said, I hope I see you all next year playing. And I really meant that because I really still have belief that I was going to make it. A couple of weeks later, I really felt the knee's no good. I did a scan. It wasn't where I wanted it to be. And this is when then I said, okay, you know what? I know what I need is a break. And I remember the first couple of weeks when I went on vacation, I was so exhausted from just doing rehab every single day and trying to come back. And with that news in my mind, thinking like this, I'm not sure if this is going to continue, this whole career. But I really didn't want to talk to Mirko or anybody really about it. I could feel the weight. Waking up in the mornings was really difficult. I needed loads of sleep, just exhausted, you know. And then when I came back from vacation, I could really feel the feeling growing in me that I don't think I can make it back. And then you go into the next mode of keeping it a secret. Who do you share it with? And how do we continue from here on forward? And where do you announce it? And that's uncomfortable period because you don't want it to leak. And at the end, it all worked out.
Is it one of those things where they say sometimes there's the stages of grief, like the stages of acceptance and then kind of frustration? And did you feel all those feelings?
Yes, all of it, and also the ones where I don't want to deal with it. Like I explained before in vacation, like I just don't want to think about it, don't talk to me about it. And then I do feel I went through a lot of sadness and emotional moments where just, you know, how you start thinking about everything you're going to miss. And then you start going like, oh my God, I'm going to miss people, fans, tournaments, the travels, the beautiful dinners we had after matches won, matches lost, when tournaments ended, seeing my friends in London, in Paris, in New York, in Tokyo, you name it. And then you just think, oh my God, my life's going to be miserable after. And then you realize, no, actually, we're going to have more time, so we're going to do all these amazing things now. So it's going to be great, you know. And I think it has helped me to be able to do this interview today in a normal way and not break down emotionally, because tennis means a lot and I love the sport so much. So it's hard to let go because I've done it forever. But I can, with those few weeks and months that have gone by, I really feel like I'm in a good place, and it shows that I've also accepted the situation.
It's, I mean, it's the life that you've known. It's the life you've known since you were a little kid.
Yeah.
It's hard to say goodbye.
It's brutal because I always went to training most of the time, especially the last 25 years, or maybe more, 30 years, with a purpose. Okay, I'm going to work on my forehand, we're going to work on the footwork, and now all of a sudden that will all fall away. And when I go play tennis, it'd be, who cares how my forehand is, or who cares about all these things? So it's a big step, because it's been the rock of my life, you know. Everything was around tennis. All my friends were around tennis. All my daily schedules have been around it. And now all of a sudden it's going to be different. And for me, maybe also what's been a little bit, maybe more complicated than for others, I've really tried to not think about retirement until it was the case. And I always said that because the more you think about it, retirement, and I was asked a lot since 2009, really.
I think I asked you once.
Also, you have to. And the more you're already retired. So I really tried to push it away as long as possible. So when all of a sudden it hit me and I realized that was it, like you said, there was so many different emotions coming up.
Well, you promised me you'd never retire.
I'll play exos, I'll still play tennis, but just not for points.
You know what strikes me about you is that here you were playing professional tennis for 24 years, and it seems to me that you love it as much today. It's as much a thrill as it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's very unusual for a professional athlete.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, if I had it my way, I would have loved to have a chance to play fit and see what's still possible. But I knew I was on thin ice for a long time. The last few years have been really, really hard. And look, I've given it all, and I still can play tennis after with my kids, with my friends. So I'm not going anywhere, really. It was just a matter. The tour is a tough place. It's grueling, and it's definitely the right decisions, and I'm not coming back. That's for sure. I'm too old for that.
I was going to say, you know, unretiring is a thing now.
I know. No, I am definitely done. I know that, yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. I love mornings. They're full of possibility.
For you. I can grill like this.
And how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
We need to pull up one extra chair at the table.
We feel like we're right there with you.
Just ahead, in this half hour, we're going to introduce you to...
Because every day we start our morning so you can take on yours.
We were witness to history, and I know we felt so privileged and so touched to be there.
Josh had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that takes a little bit of credit for it?
Yeah, of course.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
I thought one of the most moving lines in your letter that you wrote was the last one.
Finally, to the game of tennis, I love you and will never leave you. It really is what I feel, you know. I feel that tennis has given me everything, and I'll always be there for the game because the game has been there for me, and my kids will be playing tennis. I'm always happy to mentor kids. I'm always happy to help maybe a Swiss Tennis Federation, or I'm always maybe still going to travel to tournaments. I'll always be a fan. So in some shape or form, I think I'll always be involved because I think it's so important that we, the tennis players, stay involved in our sport that has given us the platform and everything. So I just wanted to let the people know I'll be there, and I want to be there myself as well.
You also talked about the fans.
Mm-hmm.
What has it meant to you to have these fans who are so devoted and so devout and rooting for you all over the world, like every match was a home game for Roger
How do you
Federer?
know? How do you know they're like that?
I don't know. I might be one of them. You might have heard.
No, but that's like my number one concern, you know, and is them not being able to spend more time with them. I just met a fan now at the airport. As I was coming here, she said, I'll miss the 3 o'clock in the morning wake-ups when you're playing in Australia. I was like, really? And she has tears in her eyes. And I just felt like that's what it is. That's what I will miss too, is those moments and encounters with people after matches, and they're able to tell you how they felt, and you're able to have a quick conversation. It's been incredible. I can't ever thank them enough. So
You said even some of your successes would have been a little lonelier without all those fans.
Oh yeah, I mean, hello, we just went through COVID, and I always said if I would have won any slam or any big tournament with no fans in the crowd, I think it would have taken away 80% of my emotions, or 80% of what it would really mean. The fans are everything, really.
So, it's impossible to single out when you've had 1,500 matches, but on your personal highlight reel, what are the moments that you really treasure?
You would think, somehow it all is with milestones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you think back maybe to your very, very first match, but that is not even the tour level match. It could be your first qualifying match at a tournament. Then it could be first time on center court at Wimbledon when I played Sampras in 2001. Then your first time you break into top 10. I did that in Hamburg. I remember in 2002 when I won the first Masters 1000 in my career. Then my first Wimbledon title, 2003. And then you take it in your stride all of a sudden, because then things are different. The expectations have changed completely. And I had those runs of years where I barely lost and played almost 100 matches every year, with some doubles as well. And obviously, when you're world number one for the very first time, there's so many things that come on top of it, press requests, and I feel like probably I'm the athlete who's done most interviews ever. I am convinced. Because I've done it before every game, after every game, time and time again in different languages.
I was going to say, in 3 languages too.
I've done it endlessly, and I think 2017, of course, when I won again after coming back from injury against Rafa in Australia, a place that also means so much to me. A lot of the times those close matches against great players, let's say also 5-setters, connect you forever to that one single person. And there's so many players I've played against on tour, and without them also I wouldn't be where I am today.
I've always wondered, like, how did you hold on to yourself when you were like a rocket ship? There was that period of years where you basically couldn't lose and didn't lose. How did you remember who you were?
Yeah, it's a great question because, you're riding the wave, right? And you think everything's so simple, but I remember now looking back, I would win a tournament and it's just all about packing, leaving, organizing flights. Next thing you know, years go by and you look back and you're like, wow, my God, I won like 300 matches, I won like 25 tournaments. It's just a blur. And I said at one point with my wife Mirka, we said, stop. We can leave the next day. Maybe the preparation is a little less good, but we have to savor moments because all of a sudden maybe we will not win the 51st title or the 73rd title or the 100th title. It might dry out and it will end at some point, you know, and I think there you really need a good team that helps you organize it, or a great wife that is able to help you through it all.
How did you stay humble? Because it seems you really did.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but you know, you have to, I always said you have to adapt. I don't think I changed. I had to adapt to a new situation, to fame and to all that, but I think my home country, Switzerland, has helped me a great deal because in Switzerland we don't get carried away, or you're not allowed to. They will let you know, and then my parents and their upbringing, and I think also all my friends always knew they could call me up and tell me, what are you talking about? Like, how are you behaving? Like, this is not who you used to be. And I think this is what has always kept me very grounded and very normal. That's why I still live in Switzerland today. I will always live there. I love that place. But yeah, what a journey it's been, and happy it ends kind of here.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you gonna do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm gonna go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you gonna do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm gonna go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
You had those years of meteoric success. You also then had some wilderness years where you were out there, but there were years that passed between Grand Slam titles. Did you ever want to give up in those moments? Did you have a low point at that time?
I mean, look, I have twin girls, as you know, Mila and Charlene. They were born in '09, just after I became, I think I was world #1. And the girls were born, and from that moment on, 2010 and 11, I didn't win any slam. 10 I did, I think, win the Australian Open. But then 11, 12, everything's literally a blur in between. I remember changing diapers, bathing the girls, just being a dad. And of course, I didn't have any time to think about retirement. It was too early anyways. I was only just 30 years old. But then when the boys were born, I have twin boys, Leo and Lenny. They were born in 2014. Things really, that rocked the boat, obviously, because going on the road with 4 kids every single week was hard, to say the least, and I think I sometimes forgot how hard it was. The nights, waking up in the night because there was screaming going on either in our room or in the room next door, and trying to put them back to sleep or hearing about it and then trying to focus. I just think it were the years of Novak and the year of Rafa, and honestly to lose against them sometimes at that moment, but I also beat them sometimes in those moments, was totally acceptable. And from being maybe the dominator, I became the challenger, and I liked that role as well, and it made me change my game, and I actually really stayed hungry throughout. Then I had a setback in 16 with my knee when I actually ran a bath for my girls, and I go over to run the bath and my knee goes click, and I tear the meniscus and I have to do the surgery after. So that was the beginning, so it was running a bath for the girls, but yeah, I'm happy it happened. Look, it's part of the journey, and it's all good.
You know what? I don't know if you're not all professional athletes would prioritize their family and say, we're all going on the road together.
Oh, it was the only way. I said, I never would I go on the road without my kids, and then I'd rather retire. Then I would have had to retire 10 years ago. For me, it was always clear with Mirka, we try it all together, or then we let it be. And that's where I can thank her as well in a big way to make it all happen.
What has she meant to you? She has gone to almost all of your 1,500 matches and watched and been there, even pregnant.
I met my wife when I was just over 18 at the Sydney Olympics in 2000. She was also part of the Swiss tennis team there. And we hung out for 10 days and, fell in love there. And so she's been really part of the whole journey. And she always taught me also to be interested in more than just tennis, And I think that was from the beginning really an eye-opener as well, and not just to be focused on just the next forehand or the next tournament, but everything that goes into it, And she was really able to keep incredible friendships alive while being on the road and have my back throughout that journey. And she's meant everything to me. She's got a wonderful relationship with my parents, who have been the most wonderful parents as well.
Everyone marvels that your parents raised you. They encouraged your tennis, but they didn't put a ton of pressure on you. How did they pull that off?
I guess they had a good balance, and I must have also loved the game. They just didn't like it when they would go on weekends for tennis tournaments, and I would behave like a brat on the court and shout and scream and commentate and throw rackets and be unprofessional and not having my drinks ready or whatever it was.
People can't believe this about you, because you're like Spock. You're cool under pressure.
My whole generation of friends, we were all the same. We were all insanely crazy at the time. And my dad and my mom, they would be so fed up and disappointed me. So I just think, especially once I went more professional, I always felt they had a really healthy distance to me and the game. They always let the coaches do their stuff, my fitness coaches, and they would just check in with me. How are things going? Everything's good on my side. Okay, they would check in on the other side. So I think, honestly, they were perfect parents for somebody like me.
I mean, it's funny because a lot of people do think your generation is Djokovic and Nadal and Federer, but your generation is also Agassi and Sampras and Andy Roddick, which speaks to your longevity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess I was also a little bit the bridge, between the older generation and then this generation that we see. I do miss that other generation of the Sampras and Agassis and Rafa's coach Moya and Tim Henman and everybody. Those were almost my favorite years. Of course, then it was the family years, but those beginning years were just insane, being able to share the locker rooms with my heroes and idols, and it was like a kid in a candy shop.
You and Rafa have been fierce rivals on the court, but astonishingly, you have become friends, genuine friends. How does a rivalry become a friendship like that?
I think through respect, and I think also his family is wonderful, and I think both families respect each other a lot. My parents, his parents, both teams. Yes, it got heated and it was intense in certain moments, but I think overall, always me and Rafa, we were always able to keep a cool head throughout. I saw also Rafa coming through the rankings. I lost to him in 2004, I believe, in Miami. He was only maybe just 17. I was world #1 at the time, and he beat me, and I could see like a superstar rising right in front of me, and And in the beginning, he was very interesting, and he was very, very shy, you know, and he used to always say, like, well, whatever Roger wants is the right thing anyway, because he's great. And then as he was getting older, he wanted it his way sometimes in certain whatever it was. And I like to see Rafa growing into the man he is today. And
Did you get to talk to him before your announcement and
I did.
share it with him?
Yeah, I called him up, probably a week before the announcement, and I just told him it's coming, it's real, because I know I can trust him. It would never come out with him. And I mean, you would have to ask him, you know, how he felt when I told him, but it wasn't easy.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
So how do you envision life now? Could you do some TV commentating?
Maybe. I mean, I couldn't be away from home too long, but maybe some select matches or some select tournaments. Why not? I think I have a lot to say, maybe add to the game, and I always thought it's wonderful to see, you know, the Chrissy Evers, the Johnny Max, and all the great other players tell a great story and they make it more entertaining. I don't know if I would be good at it, but maybe it'd be interesting, you know. So I'll have to give it some thought.
Would you coach? A lot of former players go coach.
Yeah, coaching would be difficult probably because I feel to really have an impact with a player, you need to spend at least a good solid 20 to 35 weeks a year. Yeah. I don't know if I can go on the road. I don't want to. I want to be here for my children. And I'm still an ambassador for a lot of the brands. I have a foundation, you know, that's really important to me. I love my business as well, you know. I own parts of On Running, which is a wonderful company, Swiss company. So I can go there to the lab all the time and also design, and you know, that's my passion as well, and work on sneakers. So I'm still very busy, you know, so I'm not like looking and fishing for any jobs, you know, but staying involved and mentoring other players, of course, I could imagine that, but more probably in Switzerland, yeah.
You often talk about the ball boy from Basel, Switzerland. Did this all just exceed even his biggest dream?
Of course. You know, in our local club, they had a women's tournament. It was my first time I was a ball kid. You know, I was very young. And then I became a ball kid at the hometown tournament in Basel that I then was my last title actually. I ended up winning 10 times, then played Agassi when he was on his comeback. And I always thought, having had that experience as a ball kid and then also thinking how cool it is to have a ball kid, not having to pick up your own tennis balls is quite the luxury.
It is.
And I always thought I need to show them respect, and the ball kids are going to be very special for me on this last tournament.
Can you channel it? Can you connect with that little kid? Can you imagine whispering to him, because this is how it's going to turn out?
Yeah, because I used to chase the tennis players at those events for autographs as well. I can imagine that if you are an avid tennis player and you want to become a great player and you are a ball kid, before you go into sleep, you see yourself with a trophy, you know, and I had that. And it probably ignited the fire for me too.
But you ended up with 20 trophies.
Yes, that is not a thing I expected, you know. I mean, people told me I was talented in my city or in my community or then later on in my country, but internationally like this, to break records, to go out and do incredible things, definitely exceeded. I always said I never dreamt this far in my dreams.
Should anyone be holding out hope for the next generation? Do the little Federers, any of your kids?
Oh, my kids! I thought you were talking.
Oh wait,
I thought you were just talking about the game itself. So the game itself will always be fine because the game is bigger than any player, and we are very lucky in our sport to have unbelievable highlights. We have so many cool tournaments. My kids, maybe one can do it. My son, I have the feeling he has the most passion for tennis, but I'm not super pushy, but I feel like they're 8 now. So maybe there I have to at least give them the opportunity to shine if he wants to. So at least now I got time, so I'll be his super coach if he wants me to be.
I was gonna say, that's who you have time to coach.
But you know, the girls told me once a funny story. I mean, told me a funny story. I told them, look, on the forehand, do this. This was also probably also 8 years ago or something, and they're like, no, our coach told us to do it like this. I'm like, okay, fine. If he knows better, then do that, you know?
No respect.
Yeah, no respect.
We're sitting right here. We're in a few days. You will be here, and tennis greats from past and present will be here, and they will be applauding you.
Yeah.
Does that seem like a pretty good fairy tale ending?
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be emotional, I'm sure. But again, I'm not leaving forever. You know, it's not like the last time you've seen me or I've seen tennis courts. So, but of course, I know it's very special and unique in many ways for me, and it should be, and that's why I'm here, and take it all in and show that I'm still here, that I loved everything about it, and I will miss it all, and I can't thank the crowds enough. So I just think by showing up alone, I hope it's going to be very nice.
There's a story that when you beat Andre Agassi, someone came up to him and said, oh, you'll get him next time. And Agassi said, no. He changed the game.
Okay, yeah, he's been a wonderful guy.
Do you think you did? Do you feel that legacy?
I hope I was part of it. I feel like we pushed tennis into the right direction, and tennis will be pushed further into another atmosphere that we don't think possible yet, you know. But I'm happy I was able to probably have something to do with it, you know. And I think I did it my way. I always stay true to myself, and people always, it seemed like, loved watching me play, which is, I guess, the ultimate compliment.
We did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
Appreciate it so much.
We want them to focus and try to build on positive performance and not focus so much on the bad things that happen, because we're all going to have bad things that happen. But our ability to overcome those negatives is going to go a long way in helping us be successful.
Coach Nick Saban knows what it takes to be a champion. Throughout his historic 42-year college coaching career, 16 seasons at Alabama, he's produced more NFL first-round draft picks than any other college coach. Quarterback Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy as a sophomore. Fans are looking to him to deliver another championship. For Nick Saban to get his players to that level, the work doesn't just take place on the field. We sat down with him to talk about his work behind the scenes.
First of all, thank you for doing this, sitting down with us. We really appreciate it. I wonder, and just going back and thinking about your career as a football coach, was there a moment when you thought, we really need to start talking about mental health in a much more open way than we do with our athletes?
Well, I think it started back for me when I was actually going to graduate school. And I got had a concentration in sports psychology. So I've always had an interest. And therefore, it's been probably 25 years ago, before there was a lot of attention given to mental health, that we were actually trying to provide services for players who may have had some kind of a mental health issue to whatever degree.
How have you seen players' willingness to talk about it change over the years?
Well, I think that in the beginning, a lot of times when we would make suggestions to players that we would like for you to talk to our psychiatrist or sports psychologist, there was kind of a negative sort of reaction to that. Like, you think something's wrong with me? Is that why you want me to do this? And so sometimes it took a little bit of convincing that this was something that I do on a regular basis, and talking to somebody to try to help my psychological disposition to be successful, to not have issues that will be impediments to me being able to do things the way I'd like to do them. So more recently, I think players have been more forthcoming in terms of sharing what their issues might be, which has been better because we can accommodate them because we have the resources to do that. You know, a whole mental health, service here available to the players.
How important is that moment when a player gets injured and they're looking at missing games or even missing a season? How important is that moment for trainers to step in and say, this is about whatever your injury is, but it's also about where your head may be?
Well, I think that, first of all, we live in sort of a result-oriented world. And, people create a lot of anxiety for themselves by thinking about what they want in the future. Simple example for a football player would be, I want to play in the NFL someday. So if that's what they focus on, they create a lot of anxiety on a day-to-day basis because they're thinking of the result. They're thinking of the outcome. Where if you can get players to focus on what does it take to get the outcome and let that be their focus, then when they have issues like an injury, we try to get our players to look at the injuries as this is just a setback. This is an opportunity for you to overcome adversity. How you manage setbacks is also very important to how successful you're going to be. And sometimes they do need help in terms of how do we manage this.
Mm-hmm. You talk about anxiety, but it's also a conversation about pressure too. And all college athletes face pressure. Perhaps no college athlete more than the football player here at Alabama. How do you have a conversation with them in managing that pressure?
Pressure is kind of self-inflicted, and it's self-inflicted because you're focused on results. We want to focus on winning a championship. Or do you want to focus on what do I have to do each day to be able to be a champion so we'll have a chance to win a championship? There's a lot less anxiety in the second approach. A lot more anxiety when you're worrying about what's going to happen in the future. So that's how we try to do it. And we want all the people here to be the best that they're capable of being as a person, as a student, and as a player.
And that's a conversation even before the bad things happen that you're having with players.
Absolutely, all the time, because we want to be process-oriented. And everything that we do here is process-oriented. You told me that you went around this building, and it was an amazing building. But there's no signs up that says win the national championship. There's no signs up that say win the SEC championship. There is a sign up that says be a champion. So we're trying to, even philosophically, get guys to focus on a culture of what do you have to do to be successful at what you want to do.
How tough is it to get that message through when you are perhaps an athlete like Bryce, who's now had this incredible season, who has the Heisman? The expectations are through the roof for him. How do you bring him back down to the ground?
Well, I think, when you talk about expectations, you're talking about outcomes. And again, the best thing Bryce can do is focus on a day-to-day basis on what do I have to do to play well? What do I have to do to play to my best of my capabilities? And what everybody else thinks and all the external noise that's created out there, which create expectations, we try to get not to impact a player because that's just going to create a lot of anxiety for you. I mean, we've all been through that. When you walk into a room and you have an expectation and everybody has an expectation for you and you don't have focus on what you're supposed to do, it really can be a problem.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
I love you too.
A masked killer takes aim and fires. A fatal attraction that leads investigators to turn towards their own. Internal Affairs, a new podcast from Dateline. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
You know, a decade ago, players didn't have to deal with social media the way that they deal with it now, and college athletes just in general. How has that changed the dynamic when it comes to mental health for your players?
I think it, from our standpoint, is, you know, you want to be satisfied with yourself. Are you satisfied that you know you did your best to be the best you could be at what you're choosing to do? What's important to you? And how do I have to edit my behavior to be able to do that? Or am I getting all my positive self-gratification from what everybody else thinks? And if that's the case, then, you know, maybe it's more difficult for me, because it really should be about, how do I feel about myself? Do I know I'm being the best that I can be? I'm making good choices and decisions that's going to help me do the things I need to do? Or am I just getting self-gratification from what everybody else thinks, positive or negative? And how do those things affect my performance?
I mean, a player for this team, when something goes bad on the field, it's not just a couple of people. I mean, they have hundreds or thousands of people in their DMs telling them pretty hateful things. What effect does that have?
Well, I'm sure it doesn't have a positive effect, but I think, again, you have to go back to being technical. Okay, why did this happen, and what can I do to fix it? Rather than being so focused on the criticism or what everybody else thinks, because you control your thoughts, you control your feelings, you control what you say, you control what you do. So the more we can get players to focus on that, I think the better chance they have to be able to have success as well as overcome adversity. I tell players all the time, if you're going to be a great competitor, you're going to have to be able to overcome adversity. There can be no great victories in life unless there's adversity, because that's what makes it a great victory. So your ability to manage that is very important for you to be successful.
When you talk about adversity, do you talk about the challenges that they may have and kind of put mental health in that same basket on the same level as the other things that they may face?
No question. You know, there's so many guys that have issues that are created by some expectation that they have and their inability to focus on what they need to do to be able to fulfill the expectations that they have. You know, like we have players on our team that instead of being focused on being the best player they can be and control what they can control, they're looking over their shoulder at how am I doing versus the next guy.
You know, Coach, you've talked a lot about performance, and everyone knows you're a guy who likes to win. But the stories that I've been hearing today, it's about more than just performance. It sounds like you care about these players.
No, there's no question. Our whole goal here is a player going to be more successful in life because he was involved in the program? That's what kind of person is he? What kind of character does he have? Does he succeed in developing a career off the field by how he does in school? And if his goal is to develop a career as a football player, you know, how are we helping him do that? But I think athletics offers a lot of lessons of life, whether it's hard work, perseverance, ability to overcome adversity, pride in performance. You know, all these things are things that I don't care what you choose to do, they would be things that are necessary to be able to do to have success.
How tough is it for a player who doesn't go to the NFL after coming from this program, or a player who gets injured and no longer plays again. How do you prepare a player for that kind of disappointment?
I don't know that there's any way to maybe prepare them for it. We all have things that are disappointing. And as much as we can help players be able to deal with those things, and I'm a coach, but we have people who are psychiatrists, we have people who are psychologists, we have a lot of mental health experts that we've used for a long, long time that are much better at doing this or helping us be able to know how to do it. I think that's been one of the biggest things with our mental health is they tell us the best way that we can manage a player in terms of helping him be successful based on his personality type and some of the issues that they have. And one size doesn't fit all in how you approach people. So not having that information, not having mental health services, we may not ever know that. So it's been very beneficial through the years in terms of helping us help people.
A masked killer takes aim and fires. A fatal attraction that leads investigators to turn towards their own. Internal Affairs, a new podcast from Dateline. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning. Welcome to today. I love mornings. They're full of possibility. And how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
We need to pull up one extra chair at the table.
We feel like we're right there with you.
Just ahead, in this half hour, we're going to introduce you to...
Because every day we start our morning so you can take on yours.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
You sort of see it for student athletes kind of across the board as they come in with this expectation that they're going to be perfect. And I wonder if you've noticed that change over the years. Has it become more intense for student athletes in this country?
I think probably because there's more attention. Social media has probably done something to do that. I think because we have all those things, sometimes these expectations are created externally, maybe not internally. So you feel like you have to live up to something. I had a player years ago. I was actually in Julio Jones's class, and Julio Jones is starting in the first game. The other guy's still a 13 guy. He comes to me before the first game, and he says, "Coach, I'm really frustrated that I'm still 13. And I said, "Well, who are you better than?" And he says, "Well, I'm not really better than anybody." And I said, "Well, what are you frustrated about?" He says, "Everybody thinks I should be playing." So to your point, that's a perfect example of external expectations impacting someone's frustration in terms of their ability to stay focused on the things that they need to do to improve.
But do you think that we've kind of lost the plot a little bit when it comes to the intensity that we drive in children in this country and sports? Is there a philosophy around children and athletics that has changed in this country that is potentially tough when it comes to mental health?
I think specialization has created that.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, I always tell guys, when you're in high school, do everything you want to do. People think I got to focus on being a football player from the time I'm in the 9th grade. But I like playing baseball, I like playing basketball, I like playing, hockey, whatever it is. should do all those things. But we tend to specialize when someone's 11 years old and they're good at something. We're going to make them be a professional golfer. We're going to make them be a professional tennis player. So
what does that do?
Well, I think it can potentially burn people out,
yeah,
at a young age, because now they feel this pressure and expectation that they have to work so hard at trying to do something that can become a real grind. I think you should, sort of enjoy things until you figure out, what do I really want to be?
And should parents in this country reflect on that too?
I think so, and I think that we need to be careful about how we push people at a young age, especially before they've had the opportunity to have the experiences to decide for themselves exactly, what do I want to make this huge commitment to.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
What lessons do you think other universities can take from your experience here in Alabama when it comes to mental health?
Well, I think we've done this for a long time. Maybe it was just me thinking that I need help. I need help understanding the relationships that I want to be able to develop with players. So I need to know who those players are. And sometimes that's difficult for me to figure out with guys coming from all kinds of different socioeconomic backgrounds and all those things, that we want to help them from here to get to a very good place. So we've done this for years, but I would recommend that everybody have psychiatrists, sports psychologists, people in mental health areas to be able to help their student athletes be the best version of themselves personally, academically, and athletically. I think it's a tremendous advantage to helping people.
Is it tough to get these big, tough, super successful football players to talk about touchy-feely stuff?
I don't think it's as difficult now as it used to be, because I don't think the players really look at it as, I have something wrong with me. They look at it more like, maybe I could use the help. And it's always good to emphasize with people, take help when help is there to be given. It's not a bad thing.
Senior defensive lineman DJ Dale asked for help after experiencing a season-ending knee injury.
I was depressed and I didn't even know it. Well, I knew it, but I didn't want to admit it to myself.
Dale went to Coach Saban.
He told me that he appreciated me and that he knew I was a tough player. And I didn't want him to think that I was weak or turning my back against the team, but it was the complete opposite.
He's back on the field now, but studies show injuries can trigger depression and other emotional responses, like changes in appetite and lack of motivation in athletes. Dr. Brett McCabe worked with Dale. He's the university's sports psychologist. He's part of a team of more than 20 trained behavioral health professionals at Alabama.
There's so many wonderful stories of college athletes that have gone on to, been prominent surgeons, attorneys, business owners, philanthropists, and everything. And those are the stories I love to hear, because when the lights turn off, our fans move on to the next generation of players. But these players are still coming back, and they've got their business, their life, their families that are going on, and we want to make sure they're balanced.
The transition into college can be overwhelming for any student. And for athletes arriving at the University of Alabama, there's an added pressure.
What is it like showing up as a freshman at this football program and playing in that stadium for the first time?
It's surreal. Getting here was a big culture change, and just seeing how much people care about football. You come out of the locker room, you get to hear the 100,000 plus people. You see the lights when it's a night game, stuff like that. It's surreal. I can't even describe it.
To help athletes adjust to the spotlight, Dr. McCabe works with students from the outset of their college career.
How do you start talking to them about mental health, and what's your message to an athlete who shows up here who's doing fine, but who you know is going to face challenges they've never dealt with before?
I think 5 or 6 years ago when I would give a talk on mental health, I may have 1 or 2 guys break away on the football team. 1 or 2 guys break away and come see me and say, hey, can I come see you later? Now when I give that talk, there'll be 30, 40. Because I really think because of the messaging that we're finding across the country where athletes are sharing, and I give a ton of credit to the Players Tribune, the website, where players can own the story. If Michael Phelps or Simone Biles or Serena Williams or Kevin Love or DeMar DeRozan, anybody like that is sharing their own story, then that means that what I'm feeling is not abnormal. As a society, mental health is who we are. Our mental wellness is on point. It's being tested every single day, particularly in the stresses of today's world.
And out here, tested in a way that most human beings aren't tested, right?
Correct. You have a college athlete who's 19 years of age, goes out there, does everything he can, or she does, and gets beaten in their sport on a play, and a fan sends them a message, a DM, and is angry because of what they invested in their ticket, their fandom. And now they don't understand that 19, 20-year-old is still 19 or 20 and really doesn't have the life experiences to understand all the different factors. Everything in our athletes' world right now is under a microscope, and everything's evaluated.
And how do they manage that? What is your message to them in those moments?
You need to help them understand that there's an inside game and an outside game. The outside game we can't control. We can't control what fans say, media. All you can control is what you do in the moments that you can control, right? How do you prepare? How do you get ready? And if we can focus them on learning and growing, for some reason in our world, we have this idea that the next challenge is the definer of all of our future challenges. And so for them, they sit there and they're like, well, I got this next challenge. This is the next thing. And yet they forget how far they've come and how much growth that they've developed. You can watch the maturation of our athletes here over the years that they're at the University of Alabama. And it's remarkable. It's a remarkable progression that you see as we get them ready for life outside of here.
Has the pressure changed on a student athlete in, say, the last 10 years? And is it harder for them today? It seems like it is.
I think the standards and expectations that we have for athletes is much higher than we've ever seen. It used to be that underclassmen were never even considered for the Heisman Trophy, and then Johnny Manziel wins it, who was in his first year of playing, really a significant role. So now that becomes the standard. If you have to take 3 or 4 years, are you behind the curve, right, in theory? I think it also drives into the nature of who we are as people, is that we're perfectionists, right? People great at their craft are perfectionists by nature. So that pressure is an internal drive. A lot of times it's really not what we do outside. Our standards have been the same from the very beginning. The difference is that our kids are coming in with more pressure, more standards to perform, and more expectations from the world around them.
And it's not just football.
It's everything.
When we talk about mental health, our priority in the conversation generally is about students coming forward, having this open environment so they can talk about it. What is the responsibility of our society and the adults in creating this atmosphere, and what do we need to do about it?
I think we got to open the dialogue in a much faster and proactive manner. We need to look for early warning signs. We need to understand that anxiety, depression gets a lot of attention, but anxiety is working behind the scenes in a much stronger way. I see anxiety rates that I've never seen before. We need to normalize the search for personal development and self-reflection and not see it as a negative, right? We have terrible mental health coverage in this country, and it's very hard to find care for the general public, right? Don't we,
I'm going to stop you for a second. Don't we also have to have a conversation about dialing down the pressure on student athletes, whether it comes from parents or coaches or just adults in general.
I think, I don't know if that's a battle we can actually win, though, because I think it kind of runs away on its own. What we need to do is better equip the tools of the people that are in those environments. Coaches self-disclosing themselves and coming forward and saying, you know, I see somebody and I work on this myself. That's the best way to model this. We can't change what the world demands of us, but what we can do is better equip ourselves for the tools of how we face those demands.
Our relationship in this country to sports has changed, especially when it comes to kids. Sports are really serious, and it starts at a really young age. Do we have to start having a conversation about changing that?
We need to focus on the kids that are different maturation levels, different developmental levels, and understand that every kid that shows up to the sport event is bringing different baggage with them. And we need to connect to them. I think it comes down to the organizations. I think the organizations need to get better resources, train better coaches, get more people involved.
How about the parents?
100%. But parents, they love their kids so much they're crushing them. But at the same time, it's hard to not give them everything that's available to them, right? And demand a lot for them. But we have to create balance. Whether a kid succeeds or struggles on the field, our behavior must never be connected to their athletic performance. That's the first place to start.
When you have tough conversations with athletes and they talk about their parents, what are you hearing from them?
They don't want to disappoint them. That's primary. And as parents, we need to remember to give them that sometimes and let them know it's okay to not be okay. And sometimes all you have to do is send a text to your kid and just say, thinking of you, love you. And that goes a long way.
What are the lessons that other schools can learn from Alabama?
I think there's a couple facets. One is we see Coach Saban and the pioneering leadership that he's had. There's also some great individuals that are pushing the initiatives too. Our athletic trainers here are the primary point people for our athletes. They are trained on how to focus on the mental health. This is not a mind versus body. This is a fully holistic approach. And we need to empower more athletic trainers to continue to take that role and believing they're part of that role.
And on that note, I mean, an injury can be one of the most significant events that happens to a player's mental health, right?
Yep.
Detrimental.
When an athlete is injured, now they're taking away their comfort and their coping mechanisms, and now they're standing on the sidelines where somebody's replacing them and moving on. And so while they're cheering for the team, there's still that self-loss sometimes of, oh my gosh, they're going on without me. And so our athletic trainers, our sports medicine professionals, our teams are all integrated. And I give a lot of credit to our surgeons and our medical staff too, because instead of waiting for a problem, I'm involved from the minute that they have, they're coming out of recovery or sometimes even prep for surgery to identify what the stresses are going to be, what are the worries, what are their coping mechanisms, who do they trust, who are the people around them, and how do we build that support to help them through